Chapter 12-14. Zhao Fu smiled and continued to test Yu Ling's abilities. Next, he used spatial teleportation, and Yu Ling's body flashed everywhere incredibly quickly, as if he had many clones. Yu Ling's body flashed everywhere incredibly quickly, and it was as if he had many clones. Afterward, Zhao Fu told Yu Ling to stop and gave him a few pieces of candy made from rare materials. Yu Ling happily accepted them and smiled as he called out to Zhao Fu several times. After a few days together, Yu Ling was no longer afraid of Zhao Fu, and he treated Zhao Fu like a big brother. Zhao Fu smiled and rubbed his head. He found that Yu Ling was quite likable. At that moment, a soldier came up and reported, "Your Majesty, something has happened in the Wilderness Divine Hall." Hearing this, Zhao Fu nodded his head. After which, he arrived at the desolate Divine Hall. There was a blood-red light that soared into the sky. The blood-red qi that was being emitted was extremely ferocious. It could directly injure people, causing no one to dare to approach it. Zhao Fu unleashed his emperor's domain to block the baleful blood qi and walked into the desolate god palace. A figure giving off an intense blood-red light appeared in front of Zhao Fu. It was an androgynous woman, and it was hard to tell if she was a man or a woman. However, her figure was quite voluptuous, and she wore blood-red clothes and gave off an intense godly spirit aura. When she saw Zhao Fu, she raised her head arrogantly and said, "You are the master of this place. Lowly mortal, why don't you kneel down and worship me when you see me? Aren't you afraid of my punishment?" Zhao Fu couldn't help but laugh, but he also discovered the reason. Gods were extremely prideful creatures, and they normally wouldn't submit to others. The gods cultivated by Qin were not real gods. For example, the god of light surrendered to Qin so easily because he only had a little bit of divinity left. The desolate god in front of him was different. She was one of the ancient gods, and she had a complete divine spark. Although she was not as terrifying as when she was at her peak, her power was still terrifying. Naturally, she would not submit to Qin so easily. Seeing that Zhao Fu did not place her in his eyes at all, the desolate god said furiously, "Lowly person, you're seeking death. You dare to offend this god?" Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the desolate god punched out, bringing with it a powerful fist wind. Everything in the surroundings was affected, and cracks appeared on the ground and walls. Zhao Fu coldly laughed and took out the death race sword and slashed. A gray sword light flashed out, splitting the terrifying fist energy in half and causing it to dissipate into a wild gale. The desolate god's expression fell. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so powerful. Zhao Fu coldly harumphed, "Do you think a godly spirit that has been dead for countless years is a true godly spirit? Even if you're a real god, I'm not afraid of you. I can still kill you." The desolate god felt humiliated and roared as she exploded out with a powerful aura and rushed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not move, and the golden pupil in his left eye started to spin. Chains shot out from the air, binding up the desolate god that was about to attack. The desolate god vigorously struggled and yelled, "Lowly mortal, let go of this god, or this god will make you die a horrible death." Zhao Fu's eyes flashed with a cold light, and a few blood-red arcs of lightning followed the chains and hit the desolate god, causing it to howl in terror and pain. Zhao Fu had used the God-Killer's power. Before, Zhao Fu had obtained the God-Killer profession and God-Killer power, which he had fused into his emperor's profession. Under normal circumstances, he did not use the God-Killer power very often, nor did he fight with godly spirit. Right now, the God-Killer power was the most suitable to torture this desolate god. After a while, the desolate god begged, "Despicable mortal, let go of this god and this god will not punish you for your offense." Hearing this, Zhao Fu was quite displeased and increased the number of arcs of lightning, causing the desolate god to howl in pain in the air. It struggled to break free from the chains, and its aura became weaker and weaker. The desolate god could not bear the pain and yelled, All right, mortal, don't torture this god. Mortal, don't torture this god. If you're willing to worship this god will give you unimaginable benefit. Huh? Zhao Fu looked quite confused. This desolate god actually wanted him to worship her? How was that possible? How could he worship a godly spirit? He had even killed godly spirits a few times, and now, it should be a godly spirit submitting to him. Zhao Fu continued to increase the number of arcs of lightning. The desolate god continuously howled, and her face twisted in pain. She powerlessly struggled and weakly said, "This god is willing to submit to you, don't torture this god." Zhao Fu was still quite displeased, and thinking about that godly spirit's arrogant tone, he said, "You should call us master now." "No!" the desolate god yelled. She would never say such a humiliating thing. Zhao Fu did not say anything and continued to torture the desolate god. In the end, she could not take it any more and cried out, "Master!" Zhao Fu was quite satisfied as he put her down and asked, "What unimaginable benefits did you say before?" Zhao Fu was quite interested in this. Before, the desolate god had said that worshipping her would bring unimaginable benefits, and Zhao Fu was quite curious about what those benefits were. The desolate god was still quite angry. She had actually called a mortal master. This was the greatest humiliation in her life, so she did not reply to Zhao Fu. Seeing that Zhao Fu planned to continue using his god-killer power, the desolate god was given a big fright and hurriedly said, "If you help me recover my divine power, I can let you enter the desolate god world and make you my divine guard." "That's it?" Zhao Fu felt quite disappointed. Who would want to become her divine guard? Zhao Fu was not interested at all. Seeing Zhao Fu's disdainful look, the desolate god angrily yelled, "Don't look down on my divine guards, they have the ability to control blood god demons. They are incredibly terrifying and a minor figure like you would never have seen them before." Hearing this tone, Zhao Fu could not help but want to use his god-killer power again. The golden dragon suddenly said, "I know about blood god demons, and they are indeed terrifying monsters. It's said that only very few desolate gods can create them." Zhao Fu paused and asked the golden dragon, "What are blood god demons? Are they really very powerful?" The golden dragon replied seriously, Blood god demons are monsters created from God's blood, and they are incredibly savage and evil. They can suck a person's blood dry from thousands of meters away, and they are very difficult to kill. Firstly, they do not have a precise form, and they can transform into all sorts of creatures. They can even parasitize people's bodies, and ordinary people will not be able to discover them. Also, because of the divine blood, countless low-level creatures and races are greatly suppressed. If they encounter a blood god fiend god, they can only be tortured to death. Moreover, the blood god fiend god is a forbidden technique in the divine realm, and many gods are quite afraid of it. Chapter 12:15. In actuality, it was not like he had picked up a treasure. The desolate blood divinity was the reward for placing first in the ancient stem banquet, so it was naturally not simple. Hurry up and hand over the method to create blood god demons. Zhao Fu looked at the desolate god as countless arcs of lightning appeared in his hand, as he said threateningly. The desolate god looked at the arcs of lightning in Zhao Fu's hand in fear and cried out, "It's useless even if I tell you. Without this god's power, you'll never be able to create it. Moreover, it requires specialized divine guards to control it, or else it might go out of control at any moment." Arg! 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 The arcs of lightning in Zhao Fu's hand quickly shot out and landed on the desolate god's body, causing her to cry out in pain. "Are you going to tell me or not? Also, watch your tone, you should be the one asking me to tell you something," Zhao Fu said as he coldly harumphed. The desolate god was incredibly angry and gripped her fists, almost wanting to fight with Zhao Fu again. However, she clearly understood that with her current strength, she was not a match for Zhao Fu at all. Moreover, the aura that Zhao Fu gave off was incredibly powerful and dangerous, and it felt like he was the king of a massive kingdom. Zhao Fu's terrifying eyes stared at the desolate god, and the golden pupil in his left eye started to spin. The sound of chains rang out, and it looked like it was about to shoot out. The desolate god was given a big fright and hurriedly blocked with her hands as she cried out, "This god will tell you! Don't do that!" Zhao Fu lightly harumphed and put away the chains as he said, "Tell me! We don't have much time to waste with you. If you don't do well, we will refine you." Hearing that Zhao Fu was going to refine her, the desolate god immediately became much more obedient and said, "The core of blood god demons is the desolate god blood. Ordinary desolate god blood won't do, and we need an even more noble desolate god blood, which is the desolate god royal blood. This god has a bit of the desolate god royal bloodline, so your god royal bloodline is incredibly noble. A god royal bloodline is a king amongst godly spirits, and just thinking about it, you can see how terrifying it is. A minor figure like you can't possibly understand it. It's even more powerful than some sovereign bloodlines." In the beginning, the origami spoke quite honestly. However, when it came to her bloodline, she couldn't help but become proud. Boom! A massive emperor's aura, bringing with it the might of a sovereign, pressed down towards the desolate god. No one could stop it, and all creatures would have to submit. This caused the desolate god to feel quite startled. Her face became pale and her body felt weak as she looked at Zhao Fu in shock. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would have a sovereign bloodline. Moreover, that sovereign bloodline was clearly suppressing her bloodline. That was definitely a bloodline that was even more terrifying than her desolate god monarch bloodline. Otherwise, it would not have been able to suppress her bloodline. Who's a nobody? Whose bloodline is lower? Zhao Fu looked at her and said with a hint of ridicule. The desolate god muttered in dissatisfaction, "What's so great about having a high bloodline?" Boom! Zhao Fu heard these words clearly, and an even greater emperor's aura weighed down on the desolate god. The desolate god was so frightened that she hurriedly cried out, "Master! I was wrong." Zhao Fu lightly harumphed and said, "Continue talking about blood god demons. If you don't do it properly, we will really refine you." The desolate god gritted her teeth and said honestly, "The core material is the desolate god royal bloodline, and the other materials are various types of blood. The desolate god has to personally do this, or else she will suffer a backlash. Also, divine sins are a type of power that degenerates godly spirits, and they are extremely evil. As such, even if you create blood god demons, the desolate god will not be able to completely control them, and they might go berserk if they are not careful. As such, we need specialized divine guards. Blood god demons have a limit, and they rely on the desolate god's power. The stronger the desolate god, the more blood god demons they can create." After hearing her words, Zhao Fu thought about it. The more powerful something was, the more restrictions there would be. Moreover, without a desolate god, ordinary people would not be able to do this. "Can you create them now?" Zhao Fu asked in concern. The desolate god angrily thought to herself, "If this god could create them, would I be afraid of you? This god would beat you up in a matter of minutes." She did not dare to say this out loud, and she pretended to be honest as she said, "Master, my power has not recovered yet. I have only just awakened and do not have much power, so I need a large amount of faith energy." Zhao Fu understood and nodded as he said, "Right now, the Qin Empire has 150 billion people and can provide you with a large amount of faith energy. However, the prerequisite is that you must be loyal to Qin." The desolate god was quite shocked. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would be the ruler of such a massive empire. 150 billion people would provide a massive amount of faith energy, and perhaps she would be able to recover her strength soon and return to the godly realm. Thinking to there, the desolate god happily laughed and said, "Thank you, Master. I will definitely be loyal to Qin." However, this was not what she truly thought. What she truly thought was that after she recovered her strength, she would teach Zhao Fu a lesson and make him call me master 1,000,000 times. No, 100,000,000 times. Is that so? Zhao Fu smiled as he asked. The desolate god gave a naive smile, looking incredibly harmless as she nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Where are you coming from?" The desolate god immediately felt that something was off, but before she could react, chains shot out from the air. The desolate god swung her fists, sending 10 or so chains flying, but in the end she was still bound up by Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's smile became a cold smile as he stretched out a hand, and a black orb of light giving off terrifying power floated out of his hand. This orb of light contained a great deal of god-slaying power and could deal great damage to godly spirit. The desolate god was given a big fright as she cried out, "Master, I was wrong. I'll be loyal to Qin with all my heart." Zhao Fu ignored her words and sent the orb of light into her body. The desolate god's eyes were tightly closed, and she looked quite afraid. She had already prepared herself for immense pain, but nothing happened after the orb of light entered her body. Instead, it turned into restrictions and spread out. The desolate god's performance at the start made it so that Zhao Fu did not trust her at all. As such, he had to leave behind restrictions to prevent her from doing anything dangerous. The desolate god was quite displeased and sensed the restrictions in her body. She knew that her future days would be quite miserable, and she had to listen to that person or else she would be punished. This person is simply a scum. This god will remember this. Zhao Fu returned to the palace and asked about the fish scale world. Qin had taken down the fish scale world, but he had only roughly conquered it and did not have complete control over it. As such, he needed some time to digest this information. After receiving a satisfactory reply, Zhao Fu ordered people to gather information about the Dark Demon world. After conquering the fish scale world, Qin's next target was the Dark Demon world. Chapter 12:16. As Zhao Fu was thinking about how to attack the Dark Demon world, a medallion in Zhao Fu's spatial ring gave off a faint violet light. This was the light from the Cosmos Medallion. Zhao Fu took out the Cosmos Medallion and found that the Cosmos Historical Remnant was about to open. This made Zhao Fu feel quite surprised. The Cosmos Historical Remnant only opened once every 10 years, and it was only the 9th year now. It would only open next year. Zhao Fu had never thought that the Cosmos Historical Remnant would open a year earlier than before. What had happened? Zhao Fu did not know what had happened, but he was quite interested in the Cosmos Historical Remnant. After all, it was said that it was a historical remnant left behind by a higher being, and it was the largest historical remnant in the surrounding 10 or so domains. There were countless treasures within, and even after 1,000 years, it had not been completely explored. This was enough to show how valuable the Cosmos Historical Remnant was. It was a historical remnant that countless people from the 10 or so domains wanted to enter, wanting to obtain large amounts of treasures and opportunities. Back then, in order to obtain this Cosmos Medallion, Zhao Fu had even climbed the 10,000 Dragon stage to enter the Cosmos Historical Remnant. Of course, all factions viewed the Cosmos Historical Remnant with great importance and sent their elite disciples in. Apart from the dynasty legatees and sects from the 10 or so domains, some ordinary factions people, and some independent people would also go. As long as one fulfilled the requirements of the Cosmos Historical Remnant and had a Cosmos Medallion, anyone could enter. The number of people would definitely not be small, and it would be extremely large. It was destined to be an exceptionally bitter and bloody battle. Zhao Fu had never thought that the Cosmos Historical Remnant would open so early, so he had not gathered any information. Luckily, the Cosmos Medallion gave off a light, so there was still some time to prepare. As such, Zhao Fu immediately ordered people to gather information about the Cosmos Historical Remnant. Information was definitely a must. That way, they would be able to avoid unnecessary losses. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a massive shockwave swept out in all directions. 5 colored lights spilled down from the sky as a peerless expert giving off 5 colored light appeared. Countless people from the Tao cultivation sect looked at the person in the sky in shock and could not help but loudly cheer. The Tao cultivation sect's elders came out and looked at that person and smiled. The person in the sky was dressed in white clothes and had an elegant demeanor. He looked somewhat like Bai Haoran, but his aura and power far surpassed Bai Haoran's. He was Bai Haoran's big brother, Bai Xingjun, the person who had been taken as a disciple by a higher being. Now that the cosmos historical remnant had opened, he had rushed back from the heaven domain. They did not know why. Everyone looked at him in awe and excitement. This was the peerless genius of the ancient STEM domain, the most talented person in the past 1,000 years. All other geniuses paled in comparison to him, and he was the pride of the ancient STEM domain. Bai Xingjun descended from the sky, and countless people immediately surrounded him. They were filled with respect, excitement, and ingratiation as they called out, "Senior apprentice brother! Brother!" Bai Haoran stood at the side and called out happily. It was clear that the relationship between the two brothers was very good. Bai Xingjun courteously returned the greeting and turned to look at Bai Haoran as he smiled and said, "Haoran, I haven't seen you for a while and your cultivation has increased by quite a bit." Bai Haoran embarrassedly smiled as he said, "How can my cultivation speed compare to yours? You're already a higher being's disciple." Bai Xingjun lightly laughed, "You'll have to work hard. If you perform well, I can recommend you to Master. Master treats people quite well." Hearing this, Bai Haoran could not help but feel quite excited and earnestly nodded. "Jun, why have you come back?" The Tao cultivation sect's sect master walked over and looked at Bai Xingjun as he asked. Bai Xingjun first bowed. To him, the Tao cultivation sect's sect master was like a father to him. "Master, the cosmos historical remnant has opened, and one of the things is very important to me. As such, I asked for some time off from Master and came back to retrieve it." "What? Senior apprentice brother Bai came back for the cosmos historical remnant? With him leading us, we'll be invincible in the ancient STEM domain. If anyone dares to offend the Tao cultivation sect, with senior apprentice brother Bai here, they'll be seeking death." Countless people with cosmos medallions cried out. With someone as powerful as Bai Xingjun to rely on, they would not have to worry at all in the cosmos historical remnant. A while later, Bai Haoran and Bai Xingjun returned to their courtyard. Bai Xingjun sensed something and asked in surprise, "Haoran, why do you have so little fate? Why do you have so little fate? You only have the Tao cultivation sect's fate. Aren't you ranked first on the ancient STEM rankings?" Bai Haoran, who had been in a good mood, gave a bitter smile when he heard this. The number 1 person on the ancient STEM rankings this year was not him. It was an extremely terrifying person. He was not a match for him at all, nor did he have the qualifications to be a match for him. Hearing this, Bai Xingjun felt quite shocked. If that person had been able to defeat his little brother, he would have been able to accept it. However, he had dealt his little brother such a heavy blow and looked as if he was inferior. He did not believe that anyone could do such a thing. "What's going on? Tell me about it." Bai Haoran started to tell Bai Xingjun about everything that had happened at the ancient STEM banquet. From the top 10 rankings at the start, to the battle with the ancient sword sect's sect master, to the 3 emperor stars descending and that person escaping. Hearing this, Bai Xingjun's expression became serious. He had never thought that such a terrifying person would appear in such a short period of time. Facing such a person, Bai Haoran felt a trace of pressure, but he laughed. It had been a long time since anyone had given him such a feeling, and he was confident that he could defeat that person. The ancient sword sect's people's expressions were quite grim. The cosmos historical remnant had started early, but they had no one to send. The ancient sword sect's first-ranked disciple, Gu Jian, was already half-possessed and could not even think clearly. How could they let him enter the cosmos historical remnant? The ancient sword sect's second-ranked, third-ranked, and fifth-ranked disciples had all been killed by that despicable person. They could only send the fourth-ranked disciple to bring others into the cosmos historical remnant. It was evident that they would not be able to obtain much this time, as the ancient sword sect did not have the strength to compete. It could be said that the ancient sword sect had already lost. This caused the ancient sword sect's hatred towards Zhao Fu to deepen. They had thought of hundreds of ways to torture and kill Zhao Fu, or else they would not be able to quench their hatred. The heavenly music sect's sect master said gently, "In air, there are many dangers this time. This time, it will be quite dangerous. Not only did Bai Xingjun return to the ancient stem domain, but I heard that the Emperor also obtained a Cosmos medallion and might enter as well. You should avoid getting involved with those two. You should have good gains." Chapter 12:17. In Ruoshi nodded seriously and said in a beautiful voice, "Master, I understand. I got it. I'll protect them this time." The Bear Mountain Kingdom's king handed a blood-red beating heart to the third prince, Xiong Shao. That heart was filled with life, and each time it beat, it gave off a powerful might. It was most likely not an ordinary item. The Bear Mountain Kingdom's king said seriously, "This is a Harmony Realm Devil Bear's heart. There might be many dangers in the Cosmos historical remnant this time, so this is for you to protect yourself. This item can only be used a few times, so don't use it casually." Xiong Shao said domineeringly and confidently, "Don't worry, Imperial Father. Your son will definitely be able to obtain massive gains this time, and bring glory to you. With the Devil Bear's heart, as long as I don't have to face the top three, your son will definitely win." The Ice Origin Kingdom's Bing Qixue was also making preparations. He had prepared for a long time for this Cosmos historical remnant, and he was going to bring some people from the Ice Origin Kingdom as well as 2 of his guards. "Imperial Prince, I heard that the Cosmos historical remnant opened early, most likely because it sensed the Imperial Prince's arrival. Imperial Prince is truly someone blessed by the heavens and is revered by countless creatures," a bearded elder said to a mighty-looking and domineering-looking young man in a flattering manner. That elder was the ruler of a dukedom kingdom, yet he was trying to curry favor with this young man and even called him Imperial Prince. There was only one reason, which was that this person was a true Imperial Prince called Zhang Yueming. He came from a true empire and was not a fake like Zhao Fu. Even though his status was not as high as the others in his empire and he was not taken seriously as a true Imperial Prince, he had terrifying power and could suppress everyone on the domain rankings. At the same time, with his identity, no one dared to offend him, or else if an empire's expert descended, they would be able to sweep through an entire domain. That was why the elder was trying to curry favor with Zhang Yueming. He had even offered up many women from the imperial family for Zhang Yueming to play with. His goal was to have an imperial prince as a backer so that no one would dare to offend his faction. Zhang Yueming laughed heartily as he reached his hands into the clothes of the 2 beauties. "It is indeed your honor for this imperial prince to come to your domain. With this imperial prince's ability, it is not a problem for me to sweep through your bunch of trash." "Yes, yes," the elder hurriedly agreed because he knew that Zhang Yueming had that kind of strength. As an imperial prince of the heaven domain, he would definitely be able to suppress the geniuses of the other domains. After all, the 2 of them were no longer on the same level. "Crown Prince, please have a look." The elder took out another set of documents and handed them to Zhang Yueming in a fawning manner. Zhang Yueming nodded and said, "Zhang Yueming, this is the information I prepared regarding the Cosmos historical remnant." At this moment, Zhang Yueming was kissing a woman next to him as he said disdainfully, "This imperial prince doesn't need that sort of thing. This imperial prince can pass through a historical remnant in a few days. Don't disturb this imperial prince. Right now, this imperial prince wants to properly enjoy the beauty. Seeing this, the old man left the room helplessly. Soon, the room was filled with the sound of intense love-making. In the Green Province domain, next to the ancient stem domain, Shuj was fully focused on cultivating. Ever since she had lost to Zhao Fu, she had taken a big blow. As the number one person in the Green Province domain, she had lost. She could not accept this at all. At the same time, she felt a trace of resentment towards Zhao Fu for taking away the clear sky Saint Dragon Pearl that she desperately needed, and she wanted to teach Zhao Fu a lesson. She had a feeling that she would meet Zhao Fu again. This time, she had increased her cultivation in all aspects in order to defeat Zhao Fu. After cultivating for so many days and with the full support of the Poem Dynasty, Shuj now had a trace of confidence. "Young master, are you really going to bring us along this time? Young master, if you bring us along, won't we cause trouble for you? I don't want you to be injured." "Humph, I want to go." The Cosmos Historical Remnant is the largest historical remnant in the surrounding 10 or so domains. I heard that there are countless treasures within, and I want to see it for myself. Young master, this servant also wants to see it. I don't want to leave husband's side, or else I'll miss husband. Hee. Young master, you have to bring me along as well. I want to be done by husband every day. A group of bewitching and beautiful women surrounded a handsome-looking monk. This monk was naturally the young sect master of the Desire Buddha sect, Yu Quan. The Desire Buddha sect was actually an evil sect, and it was an evil sect that focused on cultivating lust. As such, there were many women around them. As the young sect master of the Desire Buddha sect, the 10 or so women around him were all extremely rare. Not only were they beautiful, but they also had great talent. They were of great help to Yu Quan's cultivation. This time, Yu Quan had brought them for safety reasons. Because they all cultivated the same cultivation technique and were connected to each other, they could work together and release quite a bit of power. Moreover, once he ran out of energy, he could do it with them a few times and quickly recover. This was a form of insurance for him. Shing, 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 countless sword sounds sounded out as sword winds spread out. The one martial sex Ming Jian continuously bitterly trained, wanting to defeat that unreachable figure in his heart. That figure was Zhao Fu. After seeing that power, the prideful Ming Jian suffered a big blow, and just like Shuj, he focused on cultivating. Seeing him work so hard, the one martial sect fully supported him, causing his power to rise incredibly quickly. Within a tall and luxurious palace, a figure sat within a black magic formation. That figure's aura was extremely powerful and seemed to have fused with the heavens and earth, and heaven and earth power could flow into it at any moment. This figure was a world realm expert and could freely use heaven and earth power. However, this figure was an elderly man. Moreover, this elderly man gave off a deathly aura and looked incredibly old. His face was covered with wrinkles and age spots, and there were only a few strands of hair left. It seemed that he had lived for a very long time, and his lifespan had run out. The elderly man's identity was not simple at all. He was the ancestor of a royal kingdom and had the strength of 10 worlds. He had once been a peerless expert whose name had shaken many domains, and his power was unimaginably great. Now that he was nearing the end of his lifespan, his power had greatly declined, and this Cosmos Historical Remnant was his final chance. His goal was to enter the Cosmos Historical Remnant and obtain something that could increase his lifespan. With his cultivation and lifespan, ordinary things that could increase lifespan were useless to him, so he had to find something that could increase his lifespan. This kind of thing could only be obtained in the Cosmos Historical Remnant. He had entered the Cosmos Historical Remnant in the past and knew some secret. Back then, he had obtained many opportunities in the Cosmos Historical Remnant, which was why he had his current achievements. Chapter 12:18. However, the Cosmos Historical Remnant had great restrictions. Those who were too old or had too high of a cultivation would not be able to enter. The Elder had thought of a way, which was why he was within the black magic formation. "Begin," the Elder said in an ancient voice to the people around him. The people wearing priest robes obeyed, and brought out 10 young men and women. These young men and women gave off noble auras, and had the aura of a royal clan. They were all from the royal clan, and their auras were quite similar to the Elder's. This was because these 10 young men and women were related to the Elder by blood, and they were the Elder's descendants. However, right now they were crying and struggling, begging the Elder to let them go. This was because the Elder needed their lives to use a forbidden technique. This forbidden technique could temporarily restore his youth, seal his cultivation, and hide his age. This could trick the Cosmos Medallion and allow him to directly enter the Cosmos Historical Remnant, achieving his goal. However, there was a price. This forbidden technique required 10 people who were related to him by blood. In other words, he needed his grandchildren, sons, daughters, or even later generations. Moreover, after using it, it would greatly harm his body and cause his cultivation to fall. However, he was already someone who was about to die, so he did not have to worry about this. Facing the young men and women's cries, the Elder's gaze was cold and did not change. He was a cold-blooded person, and in order to live a bit longer, he did not mind sacrificing his family. After all, the kingdom still needed him to lead it. 10 cries sounded out as the people wearing priest robes had the 10 people kneel around the black magic formation. They then took out 10 sharp swords and pierced them through the chests of the young men and women, causing blood to spurt out and the black magic formation to quickly absorb the blood. Boom! The black magic formation exploded out with a terrifying and strange power. Countless traces of black light spread out, causing the sun and moon to dim as an eerie wind blew. Countless ghosts howled as a massive wave of eerie and cold energy entered the Elder's body. The Elder's body started to become young at a rate visible to the naked eye, and his sparse hair started to grow out. Soon, a young man with snow-white hair and gray eyes who gave off an eerie and cold aura appeared. This was the Elder from before who was about to die. The Elder sensed his body's vitality and power, and his cold face could not help but smile. As for the 10 young men and women surrounding the spell formation, they were already dead. Their corpses were held in a kneeling position by some strange power, and their faces were filled with pain, anger, and hatred. The Elder, or rather, the white-haired young man, did not mind these corpses and walked out of the room, starting to prepare for entering the Cosmos Historical Remnant. An ordinary-looking young man with a calm aura walked on the street, tossing out a medallion that gave off intense violet light. Everyone could not help but gulp, as the medallion in the young man's hand was the Cosmos Medallion. Now that the Cosmos Historical Remnant had opened ahead of time, the price of Cosmos medallions had increased by 10 or so times. Moreover, everyone wanted one, causing the price of Cosmos medallions to skyrocket. If someone sold a Cosmos medallion, they would never be able to spend all of their money in their lifetime. Most people who obtained a Cosmos medallion were very careful and did not dare to reveal that they had a Cosmos medallion for fear that others would try to steal it. However, this young man had actually taken out a Cosmos medallion. Many people's gazes became filled with greed, and they could not help but want to go up and snatch it. A few Saint Realm experts could not help but step out, surround the simple-minded young man, and say, "Hand over your Cosmos medallion, or Grandpa will have you die here." The ordinary-looking young man lightly laughed. "So it's called a Cosmos medallion. Tell me what it does and I'll spare your life." These words caused the Saint Realm experts to feel furious, and they all attacked towards the ordinary-looking young man. However, their bodies suddenly froze on the spot. Then, a gentle breeze blew, and their bodies turned into dust. A few Saint Realm experts had silently died just like that, and no one knew what had happened. This caused countless people to retreat, not daring to stand around the ordinary-looking young man, nor did they dare to have any thoughts about the Cosmos medallion in his hand. It was evident that this young man was incredibly powerful. They did not know that this young man's aura was unimaginably powerful, and it was even slightly more powerful than that Emperor's aura. If people from the heaven domain saw this young man, they would feel quite shocked. After all, this young man was quite famous in the heaven domain, and no one would have thought that he would come to an outer domain. What's the use of this Cosmos medallion? The ordinary-looking young man smiled as he looked at a middle-aged man with decent strength and asked. The middle-aged man was so scared that his legs became weak, and he hurriedly said, "Cosmos medallions are used to enter the Cosmos historical remnant. Look at the violet light coming from the Cosmos medallion. It's because the Cosmos historical remnant has opened early." The ordinary-looking young man understood and softly said, "Thank you," before turning into a light breeze and disappearing, as if he had never been there. Within the 8 Dragons Essence sect, Long Yang raised his head and wildly laughed. "Ha ha ha, this young sect master is going to bring you all in. There will definitely be countless women from the royal clan entering this Cosmos historical remnant, and there will definitely be one who meets the requirements to complete the 8 Dragons' divine art. When that time comes, this young sect master will challenge Bing Chishua and the others on the rankings and trample them beneath my feet. Also, this young sect master will not fear that emperor. Husband, we believe in you." "That's right. In our eyes, husband is the best. That emperor can't compare to you. Hee, that emperor was beaten up last time and is hiding somewhere. How would he dare to come out again? He naturally can't compare to our husband." "Don't say that about him. That person doesn't have the qualifications. He just seems to have a bit of a sovereign bloodline, but his status isn't as prestigious as our husband's. This time, I hope that husband can find the last sister. When the time comes, we can finally serve husband. We've been waiting for this for a long time." The 7 peerlessly beautiful princesses leaned against Long Yang's side, and a pleased and proud smile appeared on Long Yang's face as he said, "I'll definitely find her this time. After this young sect master cultivates the divine art, in a few years, I will be able to take over the 8 Dragons Essence sect. When that time comes, you will all be the high and mighty sect master's wives. This young sect master wants to raise the 8 Dragons Essence sect to a true royal kingdom level sect." The 7 peerlessly beautiful princesses leaned against Long Yang's side, and they all expressed their trust. Chapter 12-19. Zhao Fu had ordered people to gather information on the Cosmos historical remnant, but his subordinates had not finished gathering information yet. He heard some news and went to Lin Yen Er's room. He found that Ling Feishue was there, but she was no longer as cold and aloof as before. Instead, she seemed a bit more flirtatious. Zhao Fu did not mind this and looked at Lin Yen Er as he said, "Do you have detailed information on the Cosmos historical remnant?" Lin Yen Er bewitchingly laughed. "Yes, Your Majesty. I've gathered a lot of information on the Cosmos historical remnant and prepared a Cosmos medallion to enter next year. I never thought that the Cosmos historical remnant would open so early, nor did I think that I would be able to meet Your Majesty." Hearing this, Zhao Fu slightly smirked and looked at Lin Yen Er as he said, "Then tell us the information you've gathered." Lin Yen Er said coquettishly, "Does Your Majesty have a reward? Also, Big Sis Feishue has entered the Cosmos historical remnant before, so she should know more about the Cosmos historical remnant. I only have some general information." Zhao Fu looked at Ling Feishue and asked Lin Yen Er, "What reward do you want? We will do our best to satisfy you. We want to hear some general information first and then some detailed information." Lin Yen Er leapt into Zhao Fu's embrace in delight and hugged Zhao Fu as she tried to persuade him. "I only want a single reward, which is for Your Majesty to properly fuck me." Zhao Fu unhappily pushed her away and said, "That won't do, find another one." After being pushed away by Zhao Fu, Lin Yan'er's eyes danced with tears and she said pitifully, "Your Majesty, do you dislike my body? Do you dislike my body? I've only been touched by one man before because I haven't met His Majesty. If I met His Majesty, I would definitely give the first place to you. I really want to become His Majesty's woman and serve His Majesty wholeheartedly." Ling Feisue could not help but say, "Your Majesty, you can't do this to Yan'er." Zhao Fu tilted his head and rolled his eyes as he said, "All right, you also have a Cosmos Medallion. Since you also have a Cosmos Medallion, when the Cosmos Historical Remnant opens, you can follow us into the Cosmos Historical Remnant. Also, hurry and tell me about the Cosmos Historical Remnant." Lin Yan'er smiled and happily introduced the Cosmos Historical Remnant to Zhao Fu, saying, "Over the past 1,000 years, countless people have not been able to find out how big the Cosmos Historical Remnant is. They only know that it's split into 10 levels. The 10th floor is the outermost layer, and the first floor is the deepest. Each floor is very big, and not only are there all kinds of treasures, but there are also many dangers and legacies. That is also the most attractive place. The 10th level is the outermost level, while the first level is the innermost. Every level is the outermost level, and there, the level is the level to the level. Fu to the Emperor to Qin's Emperor. Ling, He Qin, Emperor, Qin, Emperor Li, He Fu and Emperor Li, Emperor Yen, Qin, Emperor Li, King Li Fu Qin, Zhao Li Fu Qin Li. Your Majesty, you have to be careful. You can't let others know that you are Qin's imperial prince, or else your enemies will find you. However, I believe in your Majesty, you will definitely surpass them. Points can also be stacked on top of one another. At the final level, those with a lot of points can participate in a special trial. This special trial has been held for over 1,000 years, and only a few people have passed it. As for the specifics, I'm not sure. Zhao Fu listened carefully, nodded seriously, and said, "Anything else? Go on." Lin Yan'er smiled as she said, "Your Majesty, you've been standing for so long, aren't you tired? Let's sit down and talk." Hearing this, Zhao Fu sat down on a chair at the table, and Lin Yan'er and Ling Feisue also sat down. Lin Yan'er continued to talk about the Cosmos Historical Remnant, and Zhao Fu listened attentively as he thought about what to prepare. After a while, Lin Yan'er said, "Your Majesty, that's all I know. I'll leave the rest to Sister Feisue. She has entered the Cosmos Historical Remnant before, so she should know better." Zhao Fu also looked at Ling Feisue. Ling Feisue felt quite nervous as she said, "Your Majesty, if I'm willing to give you this information, I can work for Qin in the future. Can you spare the Ancient Sword Sect? Even if it's just a bit less killing, it's fine." Hearing Ling Feisue mention the Ancient Sword Sect, Zhao Fu's gaze became slightly cold as he looked at Ling Feisue and said, "Are you trying to negotiate with us? Do you think us will agree?" Ling Feisue's face was pale. She really did not want to see everyone in the Ancient Sword Sect die at Zhao Fu's hands. She had deep feelings for the Ancient Sword Sect, the place she had been born in. As such, she had always hoped that Zhao Fu would spare the Ancient Sword Sect. However, the enmity between them was too deep, and there was no way for them to reconcile. Ling Feisue could not just watch as the Ancient Sword Sect was destroyed, and she could only think of ways to save the Ancient Sword Sect. Even if Zhao Fu was a bit more lenient in the future, that would be great. Big Sis Feisue. Only by listening to His Majesty's words will you be able to change His Majesty. His Majesty doesn't like you doing this, Lin Yan'er said vaguely. Lin Yan'er said vaguely. While Zhao Fu's attention was on Ling Feisue, she half knelt on the ground and served Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu helplessly stretched out a finger and pressed it against her forehead as he pushed her away, saying, "We're talking about serious matters right now, so don't do anything rash." Lin Yan'er happily stood up and thought to herself, Only when we're not talking about serious matters can we do that. Ling Feishue turned her head away with a red face and instinctively licked her lips as she started to tell Zhao Fu about the Cosmos Historical Remnant. Even though there are countless treasures and legacies in the Cosmos Historical Remnant, it's also extremely dangerous, or else it wouldn't take over 1,000 years to finish exploring it. There are some danger zones that even World Realm experts will die without a doubt. For example, there's an abyss in the 10th level that you must not get close to. In the past 1,000 years, no one has been able to come out alive, so it's an extremely dangerous place. It's also quite barren and has almost no spirit chi, nor does it have any treasures. The 10th level is just the outermost level, and yet there are so many dangerous places. The closer you get to the inner level, the more dangerous it will be. I heard from the ancient sword sect's former sect master that the first level is a place of absolute danger, and even Emperor Heaven Realm experts can die if they enter. Hearing this, Zhao Fu could not help but feel quite shocked. The dangers of the Cosmos Historical Remnant surpassed anything he had imagined. Even a World Realm expert could make him unable to retaliate, and Emperor Heaven Realm experts were the highest existences in the second level. It seemed that he had to be extremely careful in this trip to the Cosmos Historical Remnant. Adding on the fact that he could not use his armaments, he did not have any powerful life-saving methods, so he had to rely on himself. Zhao Fu looked at Ling Feishue and signaled for her to continue. By now, the violet light from the Cosmos Medallion was becoming stronger and stronger, meaning that time was becoming shorter and shorter. Chapter 12:20. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out throughout 10 or so domains as boundless violet light pierced through countless worlds. A massive violet orb of light appeared in the sky, and the sky was gradually dyed violet. The Cosmos Medallion in Zhao Fu's hand exploded out with intense violet light, and Lin Yen Air's Cosmos Medallion also did the same. The violet light gradually covered their bodies, and a powerful force pulled them into the sky, making them look like rays of light shooting into the sky. Luckily, as long as one had a Cosmos Medallion, they could directly teleport to the Cosmos Historical Remnant and did not have to go to a specific place. This was much more convenient and reduced a lot of trouble. Rays of light shot into the sky from the 10 or so domains and countless worlds, creating a majestic scene that could cause people to sigh in awe. When Zhao Fu opened his eyes again, he had appeared within a forest. The trees here were incredibly tall and thick, and the 1,000-meter tall trees were quite ordinary. What was different from ordinary forests was that the trees here were all silvery white. It was not just the trees, but the grass, and even the ground were all silvery white. This was the Cosmos Historical Remnant's 10th level, the Silver Forest. Your Majesty, you have to protect me. Beside him, Lin Yener hugged Zhao Fu coquettishly, rubbing her large chest against Zhao Fu's arm. Zhao Fu looked at her and pulled his hand out as he said, "This is the Cosmos Historical Remnant, so be careful and don't be too careless." "Oh, okay." Lin Yen Air pouted and said in dissatisfaction. However, she understood that this trip to the Cosmos Historical Remnant was mainly due to Zhao Fu. With how dangerous the Cosmos Historical Remnant was, Zhao Fu being so cautious was a good thing for her, as her safety would be guaranteed. Zhao Fu walked ahead while Lin Yen Air followed beside Zhao Fu. She became serious and looked around. Suddenly, a few rat-like creatures leapt out from a dense underbrush and rushed at Zhao Fu and Lin Yen Air. The rats were all 1 meter long and had silvery white eyes and fur. They were incredibly fast and looked like white blurs as they rushed over. Clang! Before Zhao Fu could do anything, a sword hum sounded out from the side. A red sword light slashed out, cutting the rats in half. The cut rats turned into countless motes of silver light that floated into Lin Yen Air's body. Zhao Fu looked at Lin Yen Er in surprise. From her reaction and strength, Lin Yen Er was also very strong. Zhao Fu had almost overlooked her strength. Lin Yen Er was ranked in the top 10s in the ancient sword sect, and for such a large sect like the ancient sword sect to be ranked in the top 10s meant that she was not weak. Those silver-white beasts were the cosmos beasts from the cosmos historical remnant, and the motes of light that floated into Lin Yen Er's body were points. Lin Yen Er stretched out a hand, and there was an image of a medallion on her palm. A beam of light shot out from it, and another page appeared. Number 129332 Sex. Unknown points. 3212933. Lin Yen Er points. 30 Rank 129334. Sex Name Red Gold points. 30 This was the rankings from before. Each page displayed 10 people's names, and people could either display their names or hide their names. They could also flip through the pages to see the top rankings. Outside, within the various large sects, there was also a stone stele that gave off light and displayed a page. This was the rankings from the Cosmos historical remnant. The stone stele was called a cosmos stele and was made from a type of ore from the Cosmos historical remnant. Because there were many types of ore, cosmos steles were quite easy to make. As such, almost every sect or kingdom had their own cosmos stele, and they could use it to see their disciples' performance. Your Majesty, I'm only ranked 129333. Lin Yen Er looked at her ranking and unhappily muttered. Finding that Lin Yen Er was quite cute, Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "We've only just entered, so we naturally won't have many points. Killing these low-grade cosmos beasts won't give us many points, so let's continue onwards." Lin Yen Er found that Zhao Fu's attitude towards her was quite good, and she happily nodded. Following this, the two of them continued onwards. When they encountered some weak cosmos beasts, Zhao Fu did not act and left them to Lin Yen Er. Zhao Fu did not care about the points from these low-grade cosmos beasts at all. Roar! A roar sounded out as a 2-meter-long leopard rushed out and leapt at Lin Yen Er. Lin Yen Er was currently killing another cosmos beast. At that moment, Zhao Fu attacked and a sword light slashed out, sending the leopard flying and crashing into a large tree. The tree trembled and the leopard fell to the ground, dead. It turned into countless motes of silver light and entered Zhao Fu's body, and a system announcement sounded out in his mind. System announcement. You have killed a cosmos leopard and obtained 80 points. Lin Yen Er flirtatiously smiled as she ran over and hugged Zhao Fu, saying, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Zhao Fu did not mind and lightly nodded. Even if he did not act, Lin Yen Er would have been able to react. It was just that the cosmos beasts on the 10th level were too weak, and not only did they not give many points, but there were also no rewards. As such, it was better to focus on finding some historical remnant. That way, it would be more practical to obtain large amounts of items. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu completely focused on finding historical remnants, and he left the cosmos beasts blocking the way to Lin Yen Er to deal with. A few hours later, Zhao Fu finally found a historical remnant. It was an abandoned courtyard that was quite dilapidated and was quite big. Zhao Fu felt quite delighted and brought Lin Yen Er in. However, after a while, Zhao Fu walked out in disappointment. This historical remnant had long since been explored by others, and everything of value had been taken away. Another 2 hours later, Zhao Fu found another historical remnant. It was a tall iron building that was over 1,000 meters tall and gave off a heavy metallic aura. Zhao Fu and Lin Yen Er walked in and did not encounter any restrictions. They then walked up the stairs and still did not find anything. After reaching the top, they found that this was another historical remnant that had been explored by others. Everything of value had been taken away, and there was nothing left. The 10th level was the safest region, and countless people had come here before. Most of the historical remnant had been explored by those people, and there was nothing left apart from some extremely well-hidden historical remnant. However, the scenery on the iron building was quite good. It was a silvery white color that matched the blue sky and white clouds, creating a beautiful scene. Your Majesty, are you happy? Lin Yan'er squatted down to serve Zhao Fu, and she looked at Zhao Fu flirtatiously as she spoke. Zhao Fu helplessly smiled and said, "Can you not always be like this?" Chapter 12:21. Alright, let's see if there are any more historical remnants. If there aren't any, let's quickly obtain a checkpoint medallion and head to the 9th level, Zhao Fu said as he lightly tapped Lin Yan'er's head. Lin Yan'er stood up and seductively licked her lips as she hugged Zhao Fu and nodded. Following this, Zhao Fu brought Lin Yan'er to explore a few more historical remnants, but they still did not find anything. Those historical remnants had long since been explored. "Your Majesty! Look at the rankings," Lin Yan'er suddenly said in shock. Zhao Fu curiously looked at the page, and he felt quite shocked as he saw that the page showed that first place. Unknown name, points, 140,000. Second place. Unknown name, points, 100,000. Third place. Zhang Mingyue, points, 90,000. Fourth place. By Xingjun, points, 80,000. The first-ranked person had obtained 140,000 points, which was quite shocking. After all, Zhao Fu only had a few hundred points, so who was the first-ranked person? How could he have such terrifying strength? The second-ranked person was also quite powerful and also had 100,000 points. The first and second names were hidden, so no one knew who they were. The third-ranked person was Zhang Mingyue. No one had heard of him before, but he was most likely quite powerful. Zhao Fu knew who the fourth-ranked person was. He had been taken as a disciple by a higher being and was the most extraordinary genius in the ancient STEM domain in the past 1,000 years. As someone from the ancient STEM domain, Zhao Fu definitely knew about him. However, with his strength, he was ranked fourth. Just how powerful were the top three? This caused countless people to feel incredibly shocked as they stared at the rankings. The results of the Cosmos historical remnant were simply too unexpected. The Tao cultivation sect, which had been filled with confidence, fell silent. They had thought that with Bai Xingjun present, their Tao cultivation sect would definitely take first place in the Cosmos historical remnant. However, they were only ranked fourth, and there were 3 people above them. Bai Xingjun's expression became serious. He understood that the Cosmos historical remnant this time was not simple. Things had exceeded his expectations. Looking at the rankings, a trace of anger appeared on Zhang Mingyue's face. With his strength, he could reign supreme over everyone in the outer domains, but now, he was being stepped on by 2 people. With how he looked down on people from the outer domains, this was a great humiliation. Beside him, the Empress hugged Zhang Mingyue and said softly, "Emperor, don't be angry. Don't be angry, you will definitely surpass them." Hearing this, Zhang Mingyue's anger subsided slightly. He thought to himself that he was just giving them a slight lead, so he smiled and hugged the princesses in his arms, his hands roaming all over their bodies. The white-haired young man, who was already on the 9th level, had a serious expression on his face as he looked at the top ranker. He felt immense pressure and hoped that nothing unexpected would happen this time. Boom! A door of light giving off a massive aura descended, and an ordinary-looking young man smiled as he walked in. These rankings not only shocked the sects of the various royal kingdoms, but the countless people who had come to the Cosmos historical remnant were also shocked by these rankings. The top 4 people's strength was on a completely different level from theirs. They only had a few hundred or a few thousand points at most, but they all had close to 100,000 points. As for the person in 5th place, he was a bit more normal. He only had a little over 30,000 points, which was clearly not on the same level as the top 4. The person ranked 5th was the most outstanding person in his domain, yet he was ranked 5th. Moreover, there was a huge gap between him and the people ranked before him. This caused the expressions of the entire domain to become quite unsightly, and they felt as if they had suffered a heavy blow. "Your Majesty, what do we do now?" Lin Yan'er looked at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes. The performance of the top 4 people was simply too outstanding, and Zhao Fu had not even shown his strength yet. She was confident that Zhao Fu would not lose to them. Zhao Fu sank into his thoughts. In actuality, Zhao Fu did not care much about the points. He cared more about the actual rewards. Those points would only be useful in the final level, and if he could not reach the final level, it would be useless. Zhao Fu definitely had to go to the final level, so Zhao Fu decided not to waste time on the 10th level and directly headed to the 9th level. After all, he would not be able to obtain anything here. Let's go. Let's get a checkpoint medallion and head to the 9th level, Zhao Fu said as he led Lin Yan'er forwards, planning to get a checkpoint medallion and head to the 9th level. The checkpoint medallion for the 10th level could be obtained by killing a commander-class Cosmos beast. Because Zhao Fu had heard Ling Feishu talk about it in detail, he had a good understanding of it. However, soon, a massive abyss appeared in front of Zhao Fu. It was impossible to tell how long this abyss was, but it was tens of thousands of kilometers wide. Sunlight could not reach the bottom at all, and it was completely dark and gave off a devouring coldness. Zhao Fu looked quite confused. He had come to the danger zone that Ling Feishu had mentioned. This was the abyss that Ling Feishu had mentioned. Sensing the coldness coming from the bottom of the abyss, Lin Yan'er felt a trace of fear, and she hugged Zhao Fu as she said, "Your Majesty, let's leave. I heard Big Sis Feishu say that this place is very dangerous." Zhao Fu looked at the abyss and made a shocking decision. "We're going down!" Lin Yan'er asked in shock, "Your Majesty, are you really going down? It's very dangerous down there, and it's said that no one has ever walked out." Zhao Fu looked at the abyss and nodded seriously. "It's precisely because it's so dangerous that we want to go down and have a look. Perhaps there will be shocking gains down there. If you're afraid, you can stay here." Lin Yan'er hugged Zhao Fu's arm and shook her head. "I'll go down with your Majesty." With how dangerous the Cosmos historical remnant was, Lin Yan'er did not want to leave Zhao Fu's side. She trusted in Zhao Fu's abilities, and perhaps there would be some gains down there. Zhao Fu picked up Lin Yan'er and jumped down into the abyss. With Zhao Fu's cultivation, he could fly, so he was not afraid of falling. This was the most direct and fastest way to reach the bottom of the abyss. The two of them quickly fell, and from a distance, it looked like a few rocks falling into the darkness. After entering the darkness, Zhao Fu took out a light pearl and lit up his surroundings as he continued to fall. It was impossible to tell how deep this abyss was. After falling for a few hours, Zhao Fu and Lin Yan'er still had not reached the bottom. Zhao Fu wondered if this abyss had a bottom. Suddenly, Zhao Fu felt a massive suction force explode out from below, pulling Zhao Fu and Lin Yan'er down, causing them to fall even faster than before. At that moment, Zhao Fu immediately used his flying ability, but he was pulled down by that massive suction force. Lin Yan'er tightly hugged Zhao Fu in fear. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of countless chains could be heard as Zhao Fu's left eye's golden pupil quickly spun and countless chains shot out from the air, pulling on Zhao Fu and Lin Yan'er's bodies and stopping them from falling. At that moment, Zhao Fu found that there were only a few hundred meters left before they reached the bottom of the abyss. Chapter 12:22. This place was filled with broken bones, and they had most likely fallen to their death. That massive suction force had pulled their bodies down from such a high altitude, and ordinary people would have fallen to their deaths if they did not have any tricks up their sleeve. Just then, Zhao Fu had shot out thousands of chains to resist that suction force, or else he would have ended up like those people. What was surprising was that just as Zhao Fu's feet touched the ground, the massive suction force disappeared. However, the danger was not over yet. Zhao Fu felt that a lot of his strength was being absorbed by the ground. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and released his Emperor's domain, covering the two of them and blocking the suction force. This place was quite dangerous, and if it wasn't for the fact that his emperor's domain was incredibly powerful, he would not have been able to resist that suction force at all. Ordinary king's domains would not have been able to defend against it, and their bodies would have been sucked dry by the suction force. Moreover, as soon as their feet left the ground, the massive suction force would once again suck their bodies back down. Zhao Fu brought Lin Yan'er forwards and came to a very large cave. Zhao Fu immediately became wary because Zhao Fu sensed great danger from within the cave. Arg! Suddenly, countless things gave off sharp cries and flooded out of the cave. With the light pearl, Zhao Fu could clearly see what they were. They were a group of creatures that looked like humans and beasts. They had humanoid forms but looked like wild beasts. They were incredibly ugly, and their bodies were illusory and they could move in the air. This group of monsters flooded out and tightly surrounded Zhao Fu and Lin Yan'er. They used their sharp teeth to bite at the Emperor's domain, and the Emperor's domain was gradually bitten open, causing small holes to appear. Zhao Fu's gaze became cold, and he took out a white sword and pointed it at the sky. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a powerful aura spread out, and a blinding pillar of white light shot into the sky. The blinding white light illuminated the surrounding abyss, making it seem as if it was daytime. Under the white light, the monsters screamed and died one after another. The monsters that were continuously pouring out of the cave also stopped and hastily retreated. Zhao Fu's thoughts were not wrong. These creatures lived in such a dark place and were similar to ghosts, so Zhao Fu took out the seraph sword and released a powerful light attribute attack. This attack was very effective against those monsters. Wielding the seraph sword that gave off an intense holy light, Zhao Fu brought Lin Yan'er into the cave. The countless monsters retreated in fear, not daring to take another step forward. Just like that, Zhao Fu wielded the seraph sword and continued to advance. After a while, the monsters disappeared without a trace. Zhao Fu became even more serious because the aura ahead was even more dangerous. Hiss hiss hiss, countless grayish-black snakes rushed out from the front, and each of them was dozens of meters long. They looked extremely ugly and had sharp teeth, and even though they looked incorporeal, they seemed more corporeal. They were no longer afraid of the holy light that Zhao Fu's seraph sword gave off, and they opened their massive mouths as they bit towards Zhao Fu and Lin Yan. Zhao Fu did not feel any fear and continuously swung his sword, sending out white sword arcs that killed the incoming snakes. Beside him, Lin Yan also attacked, continuously killing the incoming snake. However, there seemed to be an endless number of snakes, and more importantly, Zhao Fu found that as he killed the snakes, his power continuously decreased. It was not that he was using up power, but that his power was mysteriously disappearing. This caused Zhao Fu to stop and allow the snakes to slam into his emperor's domain. Lin Yan looked at Zhao Fu curiously and asked, "What is it, Your Majesty?" 72 blood-red energy barriers floated out of Zhao Fu's body and fused with his emperor's domain, and Zhao Fu replied, "Don't kill these snakes. Use brute force to pass through." Bang! Bang! Zhao Fu picked up Lin Yan'er's body and unleashed his energy barrier, as he turned into a ray of light and charged towards the depths of the cave, sending the snakes blocking his way flying. The snakes swarmed up, wanting to stop Zhao Fu. The snakes seemed to form a snake mountain blocking Zhao Fu, and looking at the twisting snakes, the scene was quite shocking. Zhao Fu resisted the urge to attack because he found that if he attacked these snakes, his power would mysteriously disappear. As such, Zhao Fu definitely could not attack. However, he was blocked by this thick snake mountain, so Zhao Fu could not help but think of another method. Since he could not attack, he would use another method of attack. Zhao Fu had made ample preparations this time. He took out barrels of kerosene and poured them on the ground before igniting them. The massive flames continued to burn, and the searing heat was enough to melt steel. The countless snakes howled within the flames before being burned to death. However, as they died, the flames were gradually devoured by a formless energy. Not long after, The raging flames were completely devoured by an invisible force. This caused Zhao Fu to feel quite startled, and he felt that this place was quite strange. The countless snakes flooded towards Zhao Fu, giving off hissing sounds that could cause one's hairs to stand on end. Zhao Fu once again poured out countless barrels of kerosene, and the flames started to burn. The snakes were once again burned to death, and the flames were gradually devoured until they disappeared. However, the number of snakes did not seem to decrease at all. At that moment, Zhao Fu understood that he could not forcefully defend against these snakes, nor could he forcefully kill them. He could only use some tricks. Zhao Fu once again poured out barrels of kerosene, and the countless snakes continued to leap at Zhao Fu before being burned to death. The flames gradually decreased, and Zhao Fu took this opportunity to rush over. Zhao Fu could still defend against the Emperor's domain's flames, so he did not fear the searing heat. The countless snakes continued to rush at Zhao Fu, while Zhao Fu once again ignited more kerosene. The flames devoured everything, and the snakes were also burned to death, allowing Zhao Fu to once again charge forwards. After doing this 30 or so times, Zhao Fu finally escaped from the countless snake. Luckily, he had a lot of kerosene this time, or else he would not have been able to pass this place. After escaping from the snakes, a massive hole appeared in front of Zhao Fu. This hole was very round and was tens of thousands of meters wide, and it gave off a bone-chilling coldness. The light pearl's light could not reach this place because it was devoured by a formless darkness. "Your Majesty, are we still going down?" Lin Yan'er anxiously looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu replied, "We've come this far, and the final destination is most likely below. I'll go down and see what's there." Chapter 12:23. Zhao Fu hugged Lin Yan'er and jumped down into the black hole. At the same time, Zhao Fu exploded out with the Seraph Sword's power, causing blinding white light to spread out and illuminate the surroundings as the two of them quickly fell. After a while, Zhao Fu looked down and found that the black hole did not seem to be very deep. However, in the next moment, Zhao Fu's power seemed to disappear. This gave Zhao Fu a big fright, and his Emperor's domain and Saint Realm domain both disappeared as he powerlessly fell to the ground. Lin Yan'er exploded out with power, wanting to fly up and grab Zhao Fu. However, in the next second, she powerlessly fell from the air and heavily crashed to the ground. Cough, cough, Zhao Fu coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood and struggled to get up from the ground, while Lin Yan'er powerlessly lay on the ground with blood trickling out of her mouth. After coming here, all of his power seemed to have disappeared, and even his most basic strength seemed to have disappeared. As such, Zhao Fu felt that it was incredibly strenuous. What is this place? Why is it so strange? Zhao Fu looked around at the darkness around him. Because Zhao Fu had activated his vision before, he could see in the darkness, but he was not used to it. Moreover, the illumination jade's light had also disappeared, and it could no longer provide any light. Tar footsteps could be heard as some creature walked over. Zhao Fu held the dim seraph sword and warily looked ahead. By now, it was not just Zhao Fu and Lin Yan'er, even some of the weapon's power had disappeared. At that moment, Zhao Fu saw what was walking over. It was 3 meters tall and had the head of a goat, the body of a human, and the feet of a goat. Its body was covered with white fur, and it held a massive trident. Seeing Zhao Fu, it felt quite surprised. It had never thought that a person who had come here would still have the strength to stand up. However, it quickly discovered the reason, and it savagely grinned as it said, "Sovereign bloodline. Such a pure sovereign bloodline. And it's of such a high grade, and it's only a trace away from breaking through to a divine bloodline. No wonder it still has a trace of strength." The monster muttered to itself, then looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Kid, today is the day you die. It is your honor to die by my hands." Swoosh. As soon as the monster finished speaking, it instantly appeared in front of Zhao Fu and reached out to grab Zhao Fu. At that moment, Zhao Fu only had a trace of strength left. He had no strength at all and could not resist at all. Clang! A gray-white sword light suddenly slashed out, bringing with it a sharp arrow's aura. The unprepared monster was sent flying, crashing to the ground. A thin gash appeared on its chest, from which green blood continuously flowed out. The monster's injuries were not very heavy, and it got up with a look of shock on its face. It looked at Zhao Fu and cried out, "How come you still have power?" Zhao Fu's expression was cold and he did not reply. He had indeed lost all of his power, but Zhao Fu still had the Six Paths Demon Image's power. Their power had been sealed, and Zhao Fu could use it at any time. It was not affected by this place, so it had not disappeared. However, after that power entered Zhao Fu's body, it would disappear in an instant. Just then, Zhao Fu had used the instant that power entered his body to unleash an attack, and after unleashing that attack, the power would instantly disappear. Now, Zhao Fu's body did not have any power at all. Now, Zhao Fu understood why no one had been able to leave this place alive. With this place's special effects, ordinary people would most likely have died and would not have been able to reach this place. Even if they reached this place, they would not have the strength to even stand up, so how could they survive? Roar! Seeing that Zhao Fu was ignoring it, the monster furiously roared and gripped its pitchfork as it rushed at Zhao Fu, giving off a ferocious aura. Zhao Fu did not move, and the Six Paths Demon Image's power suddenly entered his body. The 6 gray dots in his right eye quickly spun, and gray chains giving off an eerie aura shot towards the monster and bound it up. However, in the next moment, the Six Paths Demon Image's power once again disappeared, and the countless chains also disappeared. The monster coldly laughed, and just as it was about to continue attacking Zhao Fu, it found that Zhao Fu had disappeared. In the next second, it realized that something was wrong, but it was too late. Zhao Fu had appeared behind it and once again slashed out with a gray sword light, sending it flying. This time, the monster's injuries were quite severe, and the wound on its back was quite deep. Blood continuously flowed out, and the immense pain caused the monster to madly charge at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu disdainfully laughed. He found that this monster was not actually very strong, and it was mainly because of the special stats here that allowed it to enter an invincible state. If it wasn't for the special stats, Zhao Fu would have been able to easily defeat it. Boom! Seeing the monster madly charge at him, Zhao Fu sent large amounts of the Six Paths Demon Image's power into his body and raised the seraph sword. An intense gray sword light shined out, and he vigorously slashed out, sending out a massive sword light that contained terrifying power. The monster was once again sent flying, leaving behind a 10 or so meter long gash on the ground. As for the monster, it fell to the ground with a deep wound on its chest, and its aura became incredibly weak. Zhao Fu coldly laughed as he walked over and kicked the monster's body, saying, "You're so weak, yet you want to kill me? And your tone is so arrogant." The monster furiously glared at Zhao Fu, not understanding how Zhao Fu could still use such power. Zhao Fu looked at the monster and raised his sword, preparing to kill it. The monster sensed Zhao Fu's goal, and its expression was filled with terror as it said, "Sir, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. I'm willing to serve you." Zhao Fu laughed in surprise, saying, "This monster is too spineless. It surrendered so easily." However, Zhao Fu did not have any intentions of subduing it because it was too weak. However, thinking about how this monster was a creature from the cosmos historical remnant, perhaps it would be useful, so he agreed. Zhao Fu threw a few bottles of medicine to the monster, helping it recover from its injuries before asking, "Do you have any treasures?" The monster awkwardly asked, "What treasures?" Zhao Fu frowned and replied, "Shouldn't there be a reward for defeating or killing you?" The monster awkwardly shook its head. This made Zhao Fu so angry that he wanted to attack again. He had put in so much effort, yet he could not obtain anything? The monster was so scared that it hurriedly knelt on the ground and cried out, "Mozax is willing to submit to Sir. Please spare Mozax's life." A gray magic formation appeared in front of the monster's chest, and Zhao Fu received a system announcement that it had recognized him as its master. He unhappily accepted. System announcement: you have subdued Nothingness Hand Mozax and obtained 75,000 points. Chapter 12:24. That person had instantly jumped to 5th place, which meant that he had obtained 75,000 points. No one knew how he had done this, and they could not do the same as the top 5 geniuses. They could only sigh in amazement. They could only look up to the world of geniuses. However, Bing Qixue, Bai Haoren, Yin Ruoshi, and Shi Shuj could sense that there was definitely that person in the top 5, and they were quite sure of this. Bai Xingjun also felt a trace of pressure. There were so many terrifying people gathered in the Cosmos Historical Remnant, and there were already 3 people who had surpassed him. Bai Xingjun did not dare to be careless and became serious, preparing to go all out. After returning to the underground world and subduing Mozax, Zhao Fu discovered his abilities. Even though he was not very powerful, his abilities were incredibly terrifying. His abilities allowed him to unleash a nothingness domain, which would cause all creatures' power to disappear. The range of the domain was very large, and it could cause great damage. Moreover, Mozax was still in a weakened state, so his battle power would quickly increase in the future. His nothingness domain would become even larger and cause great damage. However, his power was definitely not as monstrous as it was in this place. Anyone who entered would lose all of their power. Mozax unleashed his domain, blocking out the powerlessness of this place. Zhao Fu and Lin Yenair recovered their strength, and Lin Yenair got up from the ground. She had a joyful smile on her face as she hugged Zhao Fu. With her power, she would not have been able to reach this place, and it was possible that she would have died. As such, she felt quite happy that she had been able to follow Zhao Fu. "Your Majesty, is the 5th-ranked person you?" Lin Yenair looked at the 5th-ranked person and asked curiously. Zhao Fu calmly nodded. Lin Yenair was so happy that she rubbed her large breasts against Zhao Fu. She had not misjudged him. Zhao Fu was not inferior to those at the top. Once he did, he would definitely shock everyone. Zhao Fu looked around because this place was quite big. Even though Mozax had said that there were no rewards, Zhao Fu still did not believe him and looked around. After a while, Zhao Fu found that he had made great gains. Zhao Fu went to a cliff face which was made of a type of black jade. Zhao Fu examined it and found that it was soul-sucking jade, which could absorb all damage. Not only could it absorb magic damage, but it could also absorb physical damage. This was a very precious material, and the mountain walls were over 1,000 meters tall. They were all made of soul-sucking jade. Moreover, this was only the part that was exposed. There might be more inside. Zhao Fu was delighted and had Lin Yenair and Mozax dig together. He slashed down with his sword, and a spirit-sucking jade that was hundreds of meters wide fell down, and Zhao Fu put it into his spatial ring. Lin Yenair and Mozax also attacked the soul-sucking jade, putting it into their spatial rings, and the amount of soul-sucking jade quickly decreased. A few days later, Zhao Fu and Mozax had dug out almost all of the soul-sucking jade. There was a massive amount of soul-sucking jade stored in his spatial ring, and they could create at least 5 billion pieces of normal soul-sucking jade. This would be very useful on the battlefield, and Zhao Fu had already thought of how to use it. It would be another powerful trump card for Qin, giving Qin another layer of protection. Because Zhao Fu and the others had been digging for soul-sucking jade for the past few days, their points were far behind the others. The top 4's points were quite shocking. Number 1. Unknown name, points, 320,000. Number 2. Unknown name, points, 240,000. Number 3. Bai Xingjun, points, 220,000. Number 4. Zhang Mingyue points. 200,000. The first person's strength was quite shocking, and the gap between him and the second person gradually widened. Unsurprisingly, he was the strongest. Everyone was very curious about this person. Just who was this terrifying person? The second person was also quite powerful, and he followed closely behind the first person. The third person's name changed. It was now Bai Xingjun. It seemed that when he went all out, he was quite terrifying. Zhang Mingyue became the fourth person, and with his status, he was being trampled on by 3 people. This made him feel incredibly furious, and he started to become serious, doing his best to obtain points. The fifth person had only been a flash in the pan, making many people feel quite disappointed. His points had not increased at all over the past few days, and he had been surpassed by countless people. Now, the fifth person had 90,000 points. Under the stimulation of the top few people, countless people went all out to obtain points, causing their points to increase incredibly quickly. Everyone guessed that the fifth person had been incredibly lucky to obtain so many points. Everyone had overestimated him. In actuality, he did not have the strength to rival the top few people. By now, most people had already headed to the 9th level. The 10th level had been explored by many people, so there was not much to be gained. As such, they could only head to the 9th level. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the medallion in Zhao Fu's hand flew into the sky and turned into a door of light that descended. Zhao Fu killed a commander-class Cosmos beast and brought Lin Yan'er and Mozax to the 9th level. He was quite satisfied with the 5 billion soul-sucking jades in the 10th level, and he smiled as he headed to the 9th level. He wondered what he would obtain this time. After the light dissipated, Zhao Fu and the others appeared on a grassy plain. The grass here was blue and had sharp thorns, and if one was not careful, they would be injured. This was the 9th level blue thorn plains. The Cosmos beasts here were all in groups, and they were much more powerful than the Cosmos beasts in the 10th level. The 9th level would definitely be much more dangerous than the 10th level. Zhao Fu was not interested in ordinary historical remnants, and he brought Lin Yan'er and Mozax to the danger zone in the 9th level. The danger zone would definitely be the most beneficial. Caw, caw, caw. However, before long, a group of hundreds of parrot-like birds, each of them 2 meters long, rushed at Zhao Fu and the others. Zhao Fu did not act, and Lin Yan'er slashed out a sword light, slashing the strange birds apart and causing them to turn into motes of light that entered her body. At that moment, Mozax also acted. A black and gray barrier instantly spread out for thousands of meters, covering all of the strange birds. In the next moment, the strange birds powerlessly fell from the sky. The strange birds heavily crashed to the ground and died, turning into motes of light that entered Zhao Fu's body. As Mozax's master, Zhao Fu could obtain points for killing them. It seemed that Mozax was quite useful. After concluding this small interlude, Zhao Fu brought Lin Yan'er to the danger zone in the 9th level. A massive vortex appeared in the sky, and it was tens of thousands of meters wide. The vortex was incredibly chaotic, and it was impossible to see what was inside. The space around it was chaotic, and it gave off a massive might. Chapter 12:25. Mozax embarrassedly shook his head and said, "Apologies, sir. This lowly one has never left the abyss before, so I don't know much about the 9th level." Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt a bit disappointed and brought Lin Yan'er and Mozax into the vortex. Immediately, Zhao Fu felt a massive twisting power that seemed to twist Zhao Fu and the others' bodies into pieces. Zhao Fu immediately released his Emperor's domain, covering the 3 of them. Gotcha! A clear sound rang out. This time, the Emperor's domain was unable to withstand that massive twisting power and was immediately torn apart. Zhao Fu planned to unleash his Saint Realm domain to protect everyone, but the Emperor's domain was suddenly shattered. At that moment, Mozax said fawningly, Your Majesty! Let me do it! Mosax released a 4-meter-wide energy barrier that covered everyone's bodies, and the twisting power greatly disappeared. Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. It seemed that Mosax's abilities were quite extraordinary. He could actually nullify all types of power. If he unleashed this ability to its peak, wouldn't he be able to destroy the heavens? A few hours later, everyone passed through the vortex and arrived at a desolate valley. It was completely silent here, and there was a trace of killing intent everywhere. It was much more dangerous than the danger zone in the 10th level. Be careful from now on, Zhao Fu said to Lin Yen Er and Mosax as he looked ahead seriously. Lin Yen Er nervously nodded, while Mosax was much more relaxed. He once again spread out his domain. No matter what entered his domain, even if it did not lose all of its power, it would be greatly weakened. The three of them started to walk forward. Swish, swish, swish. Before long, a few monsters leapt out of the void, giving off terrifying auras as they leapt at Zhao Fu and the others. The monster's body looked like a mouse, but it had a bat's head. Its teeth and claws had a metallic luster to them. They were probably very sharp and looked very frightening. As soon as these monsters jumped out of the void, they were affected by Mosax's nothingness domain, causing them to lose a large amount of power. Lin Yen Er grabbed them for a moment before vigorously slashing out with her sword. A red crescent slashed out, splitting the monsters in half. Zhao Fu squatted down with interest and looked at the corpses. He found that these monsters all had very powerful spatial attributes and could hide in the void. They could launch sneak attacks at any time and were incredibly dangerous. Now that he knew about these monsters, he had to be even more careful. Zhao Fu's group of 3 continued to advance, and more monsters appeared. However, because of Mosax's nothingness domain and Lin Yen Er's strength, Zhao Fu didn't attack. Then, 2 monsters that were thousands of meters long gave off boundless auras and stretched out their hands from the void, grabbing towards Zhao Fu and the others. This power was not something that Lin Yen Er and Mosax could defend against, so Zhao Fu immediately acted. He took out the Death Race sword and vigorously slashed out, sending out a 1,000-meter-long sword chi giving off a massive deathly aura storm towards the massive claw. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the 2 claws were blasted back and left behind deep gashes. The 2 massive monsters howled as they appeared in the void and furiously attacked Zhao Fu and the others. They opened their mouths and spat out 2 rays of silver light. The power was incredibly strange and terrifying, and it caused space to twist. Zhao Fu's gaze became serious and he raised the Death Race sword, exploding out with a massive wave of power that blew out like a wild gale. A massive sword image appeared, which was hundreds of meters long and gave off a shocking sword aura. Zhao Fu had once again used a godly spirit skill. Boom! As the sword slashed out, the gigantic sword image clashed with the 2 silver-white beams of light. A shocking explosion sounded out as the 2 silver-white beams of light were slashed apart by the sword, and the enormous sword energy slashed the 2 giant beasts away. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and had Mosax and Lin Yen Er remain where they were while he leapt into the sky. Looking at the 2 massive beasts on the ground, he once again attacked. Countless traces of deathly aura flowed out from the Death Race sword, spreading out hundreds of meters like a fountain. A beautiful woman wearing a palace dress appeared beside Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu slashed out. The beautiful woman gave off a massive wave of deathly aura as she attacked the 2 massive beasts. The 2 massive beasts looked terrified and sensed how terrifying this attack was. They wanted to hide in the void, but how could Zhao Fu allow them to escape? The golden pupil in Zhao Fu's left eye quickly spun, and chains shot out from the ground with terrifying power, wrapping around the 2 massive beasts' bodies. The 2 massive beasts desperately struggled, but they were unable to break free for a while. Boom! The massive wave of deathly aura gave off terrifying power as it flowed towards the 2 massive beasts. The deathly aura madly flowed into them, taking away their life force, causing the two massive beasts to howl in pain and continuously struggle. Zhao Fu vigorously pulled on the chains, tightly binding the two massive beasts. In the end, the two massive beasts died, and killing them did not give him any points. Zhao Fu called over Mozax and Lin Yenair and had them collect the two massive beasts' precious materials. The materials from these two beasts could at least be used to create epic-grade equipment, and they would be quite special. At the same time, Zhao Fu had them stay here because it would be quite dangerous from now on. Zhao Fu would not be able to protect them, so he had them stay here. Zhao Fu turned into a ray of sword light as he rushed into the depths of the valley. The inside of the valley was quite large and flat. There was a large platform with a silver cube floating above it. This should be the nest of that type of void beast. This was a treasure, and as long as one had it, they could nurture that type of void beast. However, Zhao Fu was not in a hurry to act because there was a figure standing on the stage. That figure was wearing a silver-white cloak, and there was a rune on its back. The cloak was filled with a black fog and did not have a corporeal body. As Zhao Fu got closer, a pair of silver-white eyes appeared under the cloak, coldly staring at Zhao Fu. Swish! In an instant, that figure appeared in front of Zhao Fu, and the arm formed from the black fog held a silver-white dagger, which slashed towards Zhao Fu's throat. Zhao Fu felt quite startled and hurriedly retreated while releasing his emperor's domain. Xing! The dagger was abnormally sharp and gave off a cold light as it easily tore through the emperor's domain. The figure continued to leap towards Zhao Fu, the dagger in its hand stabbing towards Zhao Fu's heart. Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and 72 blood-red energy barriers appeared around him, forming 72 spears that were 3 meters long. As the figure rushed over, the 72 blood-red spears gave off ferocious power as they shot out. Chapter 12:26. Swish! That figure suddenly appeared behind Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu immediately sensed it. He slashed backwards, sending out a sharp sword light, but the figure once again disappeared. In the next second, the figure once again appeared above Zhao Fu's head, and the dagger in its hand gave off a large amount of cold light as it slashed down from the sky. Xing! Zhao Fu reacted in time and raised his sword to block the descending dagger. The sound of metal clashing rang out and sparks flew everywhere, but the figure once again disappeared. This kind of opponent was quite annoying, as they could hide in the void at any time and could attack at any time. If Zhao Fu was not careful, he would be injured. Swish! The figure once again appeared next to Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu once again slashed towards the figure. This time, Zhao Fu's sword hit the figure, but he did not feel as if he had hit anything. The figure suddenly appeared behind Zhao Fu, and its dagger drew an arc of light as it slashed towards Zhao Fu's back. Zhao Fu was given a big fright and dodged to the side, avoiding this fatal attack. However, a gash was still left on his shoulder, from which blood continuously flowed out. Zhao Fu felt quite furious and the death ray sword in his hand exploded out with a large amount of sword light. He spun, bringing with him a massive storm of deathly aura that swept out in all directions, shattering some of the rocks in the valley. This time, the figure did not attack again. It was forced into the distance by the massive storm of deathly aura, not daring to get close to Zhao Fu at all. However, such a powerful Yoi attack could not last for very long. As soon as Zhao Fu stopped, the figure once again attacked Zhao Fu. After this battle, the situation was quite disadvantageous for Zhao Fu. The figure used its ability to travel through the void, making it so that Zhao Fu could not attack him. If Zhao Fu was not careful, he might even be injured. Zhao Fu definitely could not go on like this, so after thinking about it, he decided to return to the surface and come up with an idea. The figure was also hidden in the void, waiting for an opportunity to attack Zhao Fu at any time. After Zhao Fu landed on the ground, he immediately closed his eyes. The figure looked at Zhao Fu's current state and hesitated, wondering if he should make a move. Although Zhao Fu seemed to have let down all his guard, as if he was standing there with his eyes closed, waiting for death, the figure felt a great pressure. Time fell into a stalemate, and after a while, the figure couldn't help but attack. In the next second, he appeared in front of Zhao Fu, and the dagger in his hand gave off a cold light. The figure wanted to finish off Zhao Fu in one go. At that moment, Zhao Fu opened his terrifying eyes. His pupils instantly spun, and a terrifying power exploded out like a wild gale, causing the ground to collapse. Clang, 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 the sound of countless chains rang out, causing the figure to be given a big fright and hurriedly try to escape. However, chains shot out from the void, sealing off his path of retreat. He could only try to run, but countless chains shot out from the void and blocked his path. The entire valley was covered by chains, leaving only small gaps. There were hundreds of thousands of chains, and the scene was quite shocking. After all, chains could also shoot out from the void and suppress that figure. They could lock down space, making his ability to travel through space useless. That figure had been bound up by countless chains and was struggling. In the next moment, Zhao Fu released countless arcs of lightning, hitting the figure and teaching him a painful lesson. After being struck by the countless arcs of lightning, the figure howled in pain. The chains in the valley opened up, and Lin Yen Er and Mozax walked in. Seeing how Zhao Fu was torturing the cloaked figure, Mozax felt quite afraid. He felt fortunate that he had immediately surrendered, or else he would have been tortured like this. A while later, Mozax walked over to Zhao Fu's side and said, "Your Majesty should be done by now. I'll help you ask if he's willing to submit to your Majesty." Zhao Fu stopped, and Mozax walked over and spoke to the cloaked figure. Perhaps it was because they were both creatures from the cosmos historical remnant, but the cloaked figure seemed to trust Mozax. He looked at Zhao Fu in fear, indicating that he was willing to submit. System announcement. Cosmos Beast Moluf is willing to submit to you. Of course, Zhao Fu accepted. There were no benefits to killing him, so it was better to accept his surrender. Following this, Zhao Fu received a system announcement that he had obtained 140,000 points. Adding on the 75,000 points from before, Zhao Fu now had 215,000 points, and the rankings once again changed. Number 1. Unknown name, points, 320,000. Number 2. Unknown name, points, 240,000. Number 3. By Xingjun, points, 220,000. Number 4. Unknown name, points, 210,000. Number 5. Zhang Mingyue, points, 200,000. These changes once again shocked everyone. Even though there were no names, each ranking gave off a unique aura. That person who had jumped to 4th place was actually the 5th-ranked person from before. Just what had that person done to jump from the top 100 to 4th place? He was only a few thousand points away from surpassing Bai Xingjun. Countless people felt quite curious because the speed at which he was gaining points was simply too fast, and they could not believe it. Also, just who was that person? Before, it could be said that he had been lucky, but now, it had happened twice. This was enough to prove that his strength could rival the people at the top, and no one cared about him. Bai Haoran had been paying attention to this person the entire time, and seeing him instantly jump to 4th place, he was not too surprised. Instead, he felt an even greater pressure. Zhang Mingyue, who had been ranked 4th, had now fallen to 5th place. He was so angry that his face became red. He was now being stepped on by 4 people. He pushed aside the queen beside him and started to madly obtain points. The first-ranked young man did not seem to care about this at all and leisurely walked forwards. The second-ranked young man only cared about the first-ranked young man. He did not put anyone else in his eyes. Back in the valley, after subduing Moluf, Zhao Fu started to collect his spoils of war. He immediately went to the den and looked at its information. Nothingness Beast Den Grade. Epic Description: a nothingness beast den that can spawn 12 nothingness beasts every day. After looking at this information, Zhao Fu relocated the Denver. With the nothingness beast's ability to freely enter nothingness, it would be quite useful. Zhao Fu planned to fuse them into City Lord seals and make them Qin's beasts, which would make them even more powerful. Chapter 12:27. This item was incredibly useful for saving his life, and he could use it to teleport when in danger. However, this cloak could only be used 3 times per day, which made it less valuable. However, it was still quite good. After putting away the spoils of war, Zhao Fu took Moluf and the others and left this danger zone, planning to head to the 8th level. Of course, they needed a checkpoint medallion. The checkpoint medallion for the 9th level did not require killing the Cosmos Beast leader but depended on luck. The medallion would randomly appear everywhere, and they had to find it themselves. Zhao Fu felt that this was quite troublesome, but Ling Feishue said that when the medallion appeared, the surrounding 10 kilometers would flash with light, making it easier for people to find it. Following this, Zhao Fu and the others started to search. During this time, they encountered a few people. Even though Zhao Fu only had 4 people, they were too wary of Zhao Fu's strength and did not dare to do anything to Zhao Fu's group, so they could only stay far away from Zhao Fu. Roar! 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 Countless roars sounded out as countless cosmos beasts attacked a group of people. Within that group was a young man and 7 peerlessly beautiful women. They were Long Yang's group. They were all slightly injured, and they continuously attacked the cosmos beast. Their expressions were quite unsightly, and facing these cosmos beasts, it was possible that they would die here. Roar! 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 Long Yang roared as he exploded out with intense golden light and pushed out with his palms. 8 massive golden dragons flew out with terrifying power, smashing cosmos beasts into meat paste and carving out a bloody path. Hurry and leave! Long Yang yelled as he looked at the 7 women he loved. He exploded out with all of his power for their safety and did not want any of them to die. Seeing how Long Yang was desperately protecting them, the 7 women were so touched that their faces were filled with tears. Some of them even said, "We're willing to stay and go through life and death with husband." Looking at the 7 women he loved, Long Yang felt a wave of warmth in his heart. However, he still hardened his heart and chased the 7 women away. If they stayed here, not only would they die, but they would also be a burden to him. In the end, the 7 women reluctantly left. Long Yang unleashed all of his abilities and madly attacked the cosmos beasts, while the cosmos beasts continuously surged over. Zhao Fu brought Moluf and the others and flew in the sky, looking for the checkpoint medallion for the 9th level. At that moment, Zhao Fu saw the 7 women running away wretchedly. He had some impression of them and knew that they were Long Yang's women, and they had mocked him a few times before. There was also Long Yang, who had humiliated Lu Yuyu before. Now that they were in the Cosmos historical remnant, he did not have to hold back. Zhao Fu led his people and flew down to stop the 7 peerlessly beautiful women. One was dressed in red clothes and had bright red lips. She looked quite pretty but gave off a barbaric aura, and she was Princess Huoyan. The other was extremely beautiful and gave off a bewitching aura, and she was called Princess Chiu Mei. Next to him was a very beautiful woman with a fiery figure. She was called Princess Han Nan. There was also a tall, slim, and beautiful woman with a cold and arrogant aura. She was called Princess Han Shuang. There was a woman with a gentle and beautiful aura. She was called Princess Han Shuang. There was a woman with a gentle and beautiful aura. She was called Princess Bai Rou, and there was a woman with a seductive and cheerful aura. The 7 of them were stopped by Zhao Fu. Sensing the powerful auras from Zhao Fu's group, their faces became pale. They had just escaped from danger, and had never thought that they would run into such a powerful group of people. "Where's Long Yang?" Zhao Fu asked calmly. He did not place Long Yang and the 7 women in his eyes at all. It was just a small enmity, and he could easily deal with it. Hearing Zhao Fu's voice, the 7 women's hearts sank. They instantly understood who this cloaked figure was. They had been incredibly unlucky to run into him. They had never thought that he would really come to the Cosmos Historical Remnant. The 7 women looked incredibly despaired because they knew that it was impossible for them to escape from him. Moreover, they had enmity with Zhao Fu before, and they had often mocked and belittled Zhao Fu. Now that they had seen him in person, they were truly afraid, and their bodies uncontrollably trembled. "You damned women, His Majesty is asking you a question. If you don't answer, I'll kill all of you," Mozak said savagely as he pointed at them with his massive trident. Moluf calmly stood by the side, and Lin Yen calmly smiled as she looked at the 7 women. This caused the 7 women to come back to their senses, and they looked at each other pitifully. The calmest of them all, Princess Han Shuang, calmly said, "Emperor, we know that we have enmity with you in the past. We would like to formally apologize to you, and we are willing to give you an undiscovered historical remnant. We hope that you won't harm us and save our husband." The other princesses looked at Zhao Fu with hopeful eyes. With Zhao Fu's power, he would definitely be able to save their husband, and that historical remnant would not be very important. An undiscovered historical remnant? Zhao Fu's expression froze, and facing the 7 women's hopeful gazes, he coldly laughed and waved his hand, causing countless chains to shoot out and bind them up. The 7 women panicked and started to struggle, and Princess Han Shuang's face became pale as she said, "Emperor, what are you doing?" They had enmity with Zhao Fu, and it would already be good if Zhao Fu did not kill them. How could he save them? Moreover, since there was enmity between them, Zhao Fu would not hold back and would force them to reveal the location of the historical remnant. That would be simple and direct. "Speak. Where is the historical remnant? Hurry up, and perhaps I'll give you a quick death." Zhao Fu coldly laughed as he came in front of the 7 women. The 7 women's gazes were either furious, cold, hateful, or hateful as they stared at Zhao Fu. They understood that Zhao Fu would not let them off. Princess Han Shuang said coldly, "We won't tell you. If you kill us, you won't be able to obtain the historical remnant. It's a very big historical remnant, and I'm afraid it's not fated with you." Facing this tough attitude, Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and sent the 6 desires demonic qi into their bodies, causing their faces to become red. Their bodies twisted as they cursed at Zhao Fu for being a bastard, a scum, and a scum. Zhao Fu asked again, and seeing that their attitudes were still firm, Zhao Fu decided that it was worth injecting more 6 desires demonic qi into them. In the end, the cold and arrogant Princess Han Shuang's face was red as she half knelt on the ground and uncontrollably served Zhao Fu. "I can give you the ruins and my body, but please let us go and save our husband." Her mind continued to resist the invasion of the 6 desires demonic qi. Because Zhao Fu wanted to know where the historical remnant was, they did not completely lose themselves. Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and pulled over the fiery Princess Han Nan. As Princess Han Nan served Zhao Fu, she furiously glared at Zhao Fu and said, "I won't submit to you." Zhao Fu pushed her aside and pulled over Princess Chiu Mei. Princess Chiu Mei looked at Zhao Fu flirtatiously and did her best to serve Zhao Fu as she said, "Your Majesty, I'll definitely serve you well. I'll definitely serve you well. Please let us go and save our husband." Chapter 12:28. Zhao Fu's words caused the women to look quite terrified, and Princess Bai Rou, who had a relatively gentle personality, started to sob. Moluf wore a silver cloak and calmly stood there as if nothing had happened. Lin Yen looked quite envious and licked her red lip. Mozax looked at Zhao Fu and realized that Zhao Fu was not a good person. It was best to be careful in the future and not anger Zhao Fu, or he would be treated cruelly. Following this, Zhao Fu and the others followed the 7 women and quickly flew away. They saw thousands of cosmos beasts surrounding a young man and attacking him. That young man was covered with wounds and his body was dyed red with blood. His aura was incredibly weak, and if this went on, he would definitely die. Seeing that their beloved husband was about to die, the 7 women's eyes danced with tears as they looked at Zhao Fu and pleaded, "Emperor, please save our husband. I beg you, please save our husband now." Zhao Fu looked at Mozax, and Mozax understood and rushed downwards. Boom! Mozax landed on the ground with immense power and smashed open a large crater. He gripped his pitchfork with both hands and stabbed it into the ground, causing a black and gray barrier to spread out 10,000 meters. In that instant, all of the cosmos beasts and Long Yang powerlessly lay on the ground. Lin Yen, Air and Moluf also flew down and easily harvested the cosmos beasts' lives. The 7 women also flew down worriedly and landed next to Long Yang. By now, Long Yang was heavily injured and had fallen unconscious. The 7 women hurriedly took out all sorts of medicinal pills and healing items, stabilizing Long Yang's injuries before letting out a sigh of relief. Seeing that the cosmos beasts had all been killed, Zhao Fu coldly said to the 7 women, "Can you tell me where the historical remnant is now?" Princess Han Shuang nodded and said, "The historical remnant is 1,000 kilometers south, within a hidden mountain cave." Zhao Fu thought about it and decided that he didn't believe them. Who knew if there were really ruins there? Perhaps it was a ruin that had been explored by others, so he said, "Take me there." Princess Han Shuang thought about it and agreed. After all, Long Yang was heavily injured and unconscious, and the 7 of them were not as strong as Lin Yen Air. With how dangerous this place was, they did not have the power to protect themselves, so they could only rely on Zhao Fu. At the same time, they understood that this crown prince would not let them go before he saw the ruins. A few hours later, Zhao Fu quickly led his people to the cave. However, as soon as they arrived, they found a group of people about to enter the cave. The 7 women's faces immediately paled. They hadn't thought that someone would actually discover this place. If the things in the historical remnant were stolen by them, then their fates would be miserable. They might even be skinned alive by Zhao Fu. There were more than 100 people in that group, and they should be from the same faction. All of them wore the same uniform, and their clothes were embroidered with a lotus leaf. Zhao Fu gave off a powerful aura as he descended, and just as that group was about to enter the cave, they sensed a terrifying aura. Their expressions fell, and they stopped and looked up into the sky. Looking at these people, Zhao Fu did not have much to say and directly said, "Kill them all." That was because if 2 sides discovered a remnant, they would definitely fight over it. Neither side would give up the remnant to the other. Only the victor would obtain the ownership of the remnant. "Wait!" A handsome-looking young man walked out from the crowd and hurriedly said. Zhao Fu felt quite surprised and raised his hand to signal for Mozax and the others to stop. He looked at the young man and asked, "What is it?" Sensing Zhao Fu's aura, the young man said nervously, "We'll leave now and give this historical remnant to you." Everyone looked quite confused. They had never thought that their senior apprentice brother would give such a precious historical remnant to someone else so easily. Someone could not help but call out, "Senior apprentice brother? Why, there's only a few of them, we might not be the ones to lose." Someone else agreed, "That's right. Why is senior apprentice brother afraid of them?" The handsome-looking young man coldly glared at them and said, "This is my decision. All of you have to listen to me, or else you'll have to bear the consequences." Some people could only endure it, looking quite indignant. Zhao Fu looked at them and had never thought that they would be so tactful. As such, he did not want to continue fighting and said, "You can all leave then." The handsome-looking young man cupped his hands in thanks and hurriedly left with his people. A while later, someone asked, "Just what's going on, senior apprentice brother? I feel that you're quite afraid of that person. Also, why did we give the historical remnant to them?" At that moment the young man said seriously, "Did you not sense it? The fourth-ranked person on the Cosmos rankings gave off the same aura as that person. He's someone who can compare to Bai Xingjun. Do you know Bai Xingjun? That person was taken as a disciple by a higher being and is incredibly powerful. Someone who can compare to Bai Xingjun is definitely incredibly terrifying. We can't afford to offend such a peerless genius. If he had attacked just then, he would have been able to kill us all with a single hand. Only now did everyone understand how terrifying that person was. No wonder he had said that he would kill them all as soon as he opened his mouth. He did not place them in his eyes at all. There were also two non-human monsters next to that person, and they did not seem to be easy to deal with either. They gave off powerful auras of danger. Zhao Fu led his people into the cave, and a light pearl lit up the surroundings as a massive wooden door appeared before everyone's eyes. The wooden door was black and was 10 or so meters tall. There were many flowers and grass engraved on it, and it gave off an ancient and heavy aura. The wooden door felt quite sturdy, and did not look like it was rotten at all. This was most likely the historical remnant that the 7 women had been talking about. Zhao Fu asked them, "Have you gone in before? What's it like inside?" Princess Han Shuang replied, "We went in once, but it was too dangerous inside and there were many spirits. We wanted to go back and gather the people from the 8 Dragons Essence sect to explore together, but we never thought that we would encounter a large group of cosmos beasts." Zhao Fu understood and nodded before saying, "Let's go in together then." Princess Han Shuang's expression was quite unsightly as she said, "Are we going in as well? Also, now that we've brought you here, you should let us off, right?" Zhao Fu looked at her and coldly harumphed, "You don't seem to remember what I said before. I said that if there isn't anything good in the historical remnant, I'll skin you. That's the price for angering me." Princess Han Shuang looked at Zhao Fu in fear before looking at Long Yang, who was being carried by Mozax. She bit her lips and said, "We can go in with you, but it's quite dangerous inside. Can you leave our husband outside?" Chapter 12:29. Princess Han Shuang did not say anything else and retreated to the side. Zhao Fu went up and pushed open the wooden door and let his group in. It was incredibly cold inside, making people feel as if they had entered an icy cavern, and their hairs stood on end. A while later, countless blue tongues of flames appeared as illusory soldiers giving off faint blue light appeared. They held all kinds of weapons and rushed at Zhao Fu's group. There were many of them, at least a few thousand of them. Zhao Fu stood where he was and did not act. Mozax's nothingness domain spread out, causing the ghost soldier's strength to decrease. Molov held his dagger and quickly rushed over. The dagger in his hand gave off a cold light, and with a single slash, he killed a large number of ghost soldiers. Lin Yener also went up and slashed out with her swords, sending out red sword lights and easily killing the ghost soldiers. Soon, the thousands of ghost soldiers were all dead, and Zhao Fu led his group onwards. Not too long later, another group of ghost soldiers gave off cold auras and rushed over. Zhao Fu did not act and allowed his group to kill them. 5 or 6 hours later, after killing 10 or so waves of ghost soldiers, Zhao Fu and his group came to a large hall. This hall was quite wide, and there was a square stone stage that was 6 meters tall. There were countless ghost soldiers standing around the hall, numbering over 10,000. Seeing Zhao Fu and his group appear, they flooded over. Zhao Fu finally acted. He took out the seraph sword and raised it high, causing boundless white light to spread out as a beautiful seraph appeared. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the seraph spread her pure white wings, causing an intense white light to shoot out. The ghost soldiers were inundated by the white light and instantly died without being able to resist at all. Holy Light's attributes greatly countered these undead. With just a single attack from Zhao Fu, he killed 80% of the ghost soldiers, and Molov and the others easily dealt with the remaining ones. After killing all of the ghost soldiers, Zhao Fu came to the stone stage and found that it was a summoning stage. There was a magic formation on it, and it was called Krista, the Vengeance Spear. Krista was a spirit filled with vengeance and resentment. She was an undying spirit of vengeance and a nightmare summoned from the Shadow Island. She specialized in hunting down treacherous people. The victims of treachery will cry tears of blood for vengeance. Zhao Fu thought about it, then placed his hand on the formation and infused his power into it. The magic formation was instantly activated and gave off a blue light. Countless traces of cold and gloomy aura quickly gathered within the magic formation. The magic formation burned with countless blue flames, and a figure giving off a powerful aura slowly appeared. This figure was a woman with a slim figure. She wore black, tight-fitting leather armor and had long, black hair. Her skin was blue and gave off a faint blue light. She was quite beautiful and gave off a cold aura. She held a blue spear in her hand. Krista has answered the call and is willing to serve the Lord. After the figure appeared, he held a spear in his hand and half knelt on the ground, letting out a feminine voice. Zhao Fu looked at Krista and could sense that she was not weak, so he smiled and accepted her loyalty. This was not the end of the historical remnant. There was a wooden door on the side of the hall that looked similar to the first wooden door. It was slightly black and had flower and grass patterns on it. The 7 women looked quite shocked. They had never thought that Zhao Fu and the others would be able to pass through so easily. With their strength, they would not be able to reach this place. That was the difference in strength. They pushed open the wooden door and continued onward. Soon, a group of skeleton soldiers giving off terrifying auras rushed over. There were many of them, and each of them was even more powerful than the specter soldiers from before. Zhao Fu still did not act and left it to the others to deal with them. The others quickly killed the skeleton soldiers. With Mozax's nothingness domain, the skeletons were unable to resist at all and were cut down as easily as if they were vegetables. Zhao Fu paid attention to Krista's performance. She held her spear and ferociously charged out, sending countless skeleton soldiers flying and turning them into piles of bones. It seemed that no one could stop her. The spear in her hand was most likely a type of soul weapon, and it dealt great damage to undead creatures. After killing the group of skeleton soldiers, Zhao Fu looked through the pile of skeletons to see if there were any soldier souls. Qin now had 24 general armaments, and it was time to fuse with king armaments. However, king armaments required 1,000 soldier souls, which could be used to fuse with 10 general armaments. Qin currently lacked soldier souls, so Zhao Fu wanted to see if the skeleton soldiers would drop them. Zhao Fu was disappointed because he found that the skeleton soldiers did not drop anything. Soldier souls could only be obtained from soldiers who had been very powerful when they were alive, and they would only appear after countless years of nurturing. Not all skeleton soldiers had soldier souls. After killing wave after wave of skeletons, Zhao Fu and the others came to an even larger hall. This hall was thousands of meters tall and tens of thousands of meters wide, and there was a square stone stage. Around the stone stage were skeletons that were dozens of meters tall and held all sorts of bone weapons. There were not many of these skeletons, only around 1,000 of them. They gave off a massive aura, causing the air to feel quite oppressive. Zhao Fu looked at these skeletons and wanted to subdue them. Looking at these massive creatures, Zhao Fu wanted them all. If they could not become devils, they could become Qin's beasts. However, facing over 1,000 skeletons that were dozens of meters tall was quite dangerous, so Zhao Fu had Lin Yen Air and the 7 women retreat. Zhao Fu led the others and rushed up. The others were responsible for pinning down the skeletons while Zhao Fu tried to see if he could subdue them. Clang, 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 countless chains shot out, and Zhao Fu bound up the dozens of skeletons that were charging at him. The skeletons vigorously struggled, causing the chains to clang. Zhao Fu first tried to use his martial power to make them submit, which was to make them feel fear. As such, Zhao Fu exploded out with a terrifying aura that covered the dozens of skeletons, and his power quickly seeped into their souls. The skeletons immediately felt a wave of fear, and the spirit flames in their minds continuously flickered. However, they still madly attacked Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu frowned. He found that these skeletons did not seem to have any consciousness and only attacked instinctively. Zhao Fu started to use the second method, which was to use contracts to see if he could subdue these skeletons. Chapter 12:30. Xing. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out with the seraph sword, and a white sword light that was hundreds of meters long slashed out, destroying 7 or 8 massive skeletons. Molef continuously flashed in the air, and it swung its dagger, causing a cold light to flash out as a massive skeleton's head fell to the ground. Mozax's strength was relatively weak, but because of his nothingness domain, he could weaken a skeleton's strength before slowly killing it. Krista's killing speed was also quite fast. She threw out her spear, and the blue spear gave off a ray of light as it easily pierced through a skeleton's head. The spear seemed to be able to absorb souls, and after piercing through the skeleton's head, it wantonly absorbed the skeleton's soul flames. The skeleton's soul flames instantly disappeared, and the skeleton instantly died. The aura that Krista's blue spear gave off became even stronger. Over 1,000 skeletons were killed by the group, turning into piles of bones on the ground. Zhao Fu walked up to the stone stage, and this stone stage was the same as the one from before. It was a summoning stone stage. The Widowmaker Evelyn, the intelligent and deadly Evelyn, was one of the most deadly assassins in the runic continent. She could fuse into the shadows at will and use this ability to patiently track her prey, waiting for the right opportunity to attack. Zhao Fu placed his hand on the magic formation and sent his power into it. The magic formation was activated and gave off a faint black light. Countless traces of terrifying darkness aura gathered towards the magic formation, and a black fog gradually appeared within the magic formation. A figure appeared within the black fog. She had a seductive figure and snow-white skin. She had short, red hair and looked quite cold. She was only wearing underwear, leather boots, and gloves, and a large amount of her skin was exposed, causing people's hearts to speed up. Evelyn has answered the summoning and is willing to serve my lord. Zhao Fu first sensed Evelyn's power and found that it was a type of pure darkness power. Normally, people with this kind of power were incredibly evil, and seeing the cold smile on her face, it meant that she was that kind of person. Zhao Fu didn't mind. Whether it was light or dark, as long as she could serve Qin, Zhao Fu would accept it. So he accepted her loyalty again. There was also a wooden door here, which led to the next stage. Zhao Fu walked up and pushed the door open. Just as he pushed it open, an enchanting fragrance wafted out. Behind the door was a long corridor. Green vines wrapped around the pillars, and bright red flowers bloomed on the ground and railings of the corridor. The enchanting fragrance came from those flowers. Suddenly, Zhao Fu found that he was in a school, and a cool breeze blew against his face. This was the university that Zhao Fu had once studied at. The surroundings were very familiar, and Zhao Fu saw Wu Qingyang walking towards him. This was an illusion, and Zhao Fu clearly knew that it was an illusion from the start. Not only did Zhao Fu's sovereign bloodline have great resistance, but Zhao Fu had also unlocked divine sense, one of the 5 celestial senses, giving him great resistance against illusions. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and once again opened them, coming out of the illusion. However, he felt a comfortable feeling at his lower body, and he looked down and found that Princess Han Shuang and the other princesses were serving him. They were also begging Zhao Fu not to kill them or skin them. They were willing to do anything. Zhao Fu stretched out a finger and a few rays of black light shot into their heads, causing them to wake up. They stood up with red faces and retreated to the side. They had never thought that they would serve Zhao Fu again, and they were still quite clear about that feeling. They had fallen into an illusion where Zhao Fu had wanted to skin them and burn Long Yang to death. As such, they could only beg Zhao Fu to spare them, and they took the initiative to run over and serve Zhao Fu. The cold and arrogant Princess Han Shuang's face was the reddest, as she had served Zhao Fu the longest both times. Mozax and the others soon came back to their senses and stood by the side. Krista's expression did not change, and she coldly stood there. Evelyn looked at Zhao Fu's lower body and could not help but lick her bright red lips. Lin Yen Er was currently writhing on the ground as she called out to Zhao Fu. Much of her skin was revealed, and Zhao Fu woke her up. "Your Majesty!" Lin Yen Er stood up and called out flirtatiously. She did not want to come out of the illusion, as within the illusion, Zhao Fu was doing it on her body. Zhao Fu looked at Lin Yen Er and the 7 women and said, "It's best that you stay outside. This corridor might be quite dangerous." Princess Han Shuang and the others nodded shyly, and Lin Yen Er unhappily nodded. Zhao Fu led the others out of the corridor and activated a defensive barrier to block out that enchanting fragrance. After walking into the corridor, they found that it was quite peaceful. There were bright red flowers that looked incredibly beautiful, and apart from that, there was nothing else. Zhao Fu and the others continued onwards. Within the hall, Princess Han Shuang and the 7 women were carefully taking care of the unconscious Long Yang, looking like a kind wife. Lin Yen Er said with a trace of jealousy and mockery, "Weren't you just serving His Majesty and feeling quite comfortable? And now you're acting like this in front of another man?" Some of Princess Han Shuang and the others were embarrassed and angry, but they did not dare to say anything. After all, their lives were still in Zhao Fu's hands, and Lin Yen Er was someone by Zhao Fu's side. Moreover, they had a special relationship, so they naturally did not dare to say anything. Within the corridor, Zhao Fu and the others had already walked for a long distance and had not encountered anything. It was incredibly quiet, and the enchanting fragrance had become incredibly dense. By now, even Zhao Fu's Emperor's domain could not block out this fragrance, and it could easily seep in. As such, Zhao Fu could only use his Saint Realm domains to strengthen his Emperor's domain, and everyone continued onwards. After walking for a while, there was a blood-red fog ahead of them. This fog was condensed from that fragrance, and it was incredibly permeable. Zhao Fu unleashed the 6 Paths defensive barrier, adding on his Emperor's domain and Saint Realm domain, but he was still unable to stop the blood-red fog from seeping in. This caused Zhao Fu's expression to become quite serious. Even though one's body had great resistance to illusions, the fragrant fog's ability to create illusions was incredibly powerful, and Zhao Fu would definitely be pulled out of the illusion. This caused Zhao Fu and the others to stop and think about what to do. Suddenly, Zhao Fu thought of something and could not help but smile. He looked at Mozax and the others. They were quite powerful and most likely had their own domains. If he could layer all of their domains together and add on his own domain, their defensive power would increase by many times. Chapter 12:31. Everyone continued onwards and arrived at a large hall. The mist here was the densest, and they could faintly see countless vines on the ground. There seemed to be a square stage at the center. Zhao Fu stopped at the outskirts of the hall and did not go in. Even though there did not seem to be any danger here, it was better to be careful. Zhao Fu took out a stone and tested it by throwing it into the hall. In that instant, all of the vines seemed to come to life and continuously twisted. Swish, 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 countless vines containing terrifying power shot towards Zhao Fu and the others. Zhao Fu's expression did not change, and he had Mozax and the others maintain their domains while Zhao Fu took out the royal wood sword and stabbed it into the ground. A green energy barrier spread out, covering a radius of 100 meters. The vines within the green energy barrier immediately withered, as if their life force had been sucked away. Zhao Fu was using the royal wood sword's life force absorption ability to deal with these plants, and it would be quite effective. The vines continuously shot over and continuously withered. Some of the vines had powerful life force and were able to break through the green energy barrier, but they were unable to break through the defenses that everyone had set up. As the vines died, the fragrant mist became much thinner, and the hall was finally revealed to everyone. This hall was just like the hall from before, and it had a square stage. However, there were countless vines wrapped around the stage, and they had all withered and lost their life force. The royal wood sword had absorbed a large amount of life force, and its power had greatly increased. Zhao Fu cut off the vines around the stage with a few strikes and walked onto the stage. He found that it was a summoning stage, and it was called Crafty Demoness Lephron. Zhao Fu put his hand on the magic formation and once again activated it. Countless traces of blood-red fragrance gathered towards the magic formation, causing the magic formation to be filled with a dense fragrance. By now, this fragrance could no longer create illusions, and a figure giving off a powerful aura appeared on the magic formation. She was wearing a blue short skirt and a blue cloak, and she held a magic staff. Her figure was quite mature, and she had short, silver-white hair and purple lips, making her look quite bewitching. Her body gave off a faint fragrance that could cause people to become intoxicated. Lephron answers the call and is willing to serve my master. After Lephron appeared, she also knelt on one knee and looked at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes. She gave a faint smile and spoke in a flirtatious voice. Zhao Fu could sense Lephron's power. She was evidently more powerful than Krista and Evelyn, and she was most likely a powerful illusionist. As expected, Zhao Fu accepted Lephron's loyalty and looked around the hall. There were no more doors or anything else, and he had finished exploring the historical remnant. Zhao Fu felt slightly disappointed. He had not obtained anything from this historical remnant and had only obtained 3 powerful subordinates. Thinking about Lephron and the others' strength, he felt that the results of this historical remnant had been quite good. Then, Zhao Fu brought them back. Seeing Zhao Fu return and an extremely beautiful woman appear next to him, Lin Yen-er and the others understood that they had finished exploring the historical remnant and that there was a summoning stone stage at the end. That woman was the person who had been summoned. Princesses Han Shuang and the others could not help but feel nervous. Now that they had finished exploring the historical remnant, Zhao Fu had said that if he was not satisfied with what they obtained, he would skin them and make them sky lanterns. Zhao Fu walked out and looked at them before saying calmly, "Let's go." Princesses Han Shuang and the others let out a sigh of relief and found that Zhao Fu did not have any intention of harming them. However, they could not help but ask, "Emperor, you've finished exploring the historical remnant. When can we leave?" Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and did not reply. He was still angry at them, so he naturally could not let them off. He led his people ahead. Princesses Han Shuang and the others' expressions were quite unsightly. They understood that Zhao Fu was not willing to let them off, so they had to worry about their own safety and Long Yang's safety. However, this was good. After Long Yang recovered, they would have the power to protect themselves. Otherwise, if they ran into cosmos beasts or other people, they would still die. Now that they had Zhao Fu's protection, they did not have to worry about danger. Thinking about that, Princesses Han Shuang and the others felt much better and followed behind the others. After coming outside the historical remnant, the sky had already darkened. There were countless stars twinkling in the night sky, creating a beautiful and majestic scene. However, the lighting was quite poor, making it difficult to see far away, making it difficult to travel. As such, Zhao Fu could only stop and rest here for the night. Now that they had entered the cosmos historical remnant, Zhao Fu had not had a good rest yet, so he could use this opportunity to recover his strength and mind. Moluf, Lephron, and the others felt quite spirited, so they were responsible for keeping watch nearby. Suddenly, gray dragon images appeared around Zhao Fu's body, causing a look of pain to appear on Zhao Fu's face. Emperor Killer's curse had flared up, as it had been a while since Zhao Fu had done it with a woman. "Your Majesty, what's wrong? What's wrong?" Seeing how pained Zhao Fu looked, Lin Yen walked over and asked caringly. However, in the next moment, Zhao Fu pressed her against the ground, and Zhao Fu started to ravage her body. This caused Lin Yen to look incredibly emotional, and hot tears filled her eyes. She had waited for this day for a long time, and she intensely responded to Zhao Fu. However, soon, she collapsed to the ground. Princesses Han Shuang and the others' faces became red and their hearts thumped. Zhao Fu had actually done such an erotic thing in front of them. "All of you, come here." Zhao Fu let go of the powerless Lin Yen and said in a commanding tone. Princesses Han Shuang and the others understood what was going to happen, but for their lives and for the unconscious Long Yang on the ground, they steeled themselves and walked towards Zhao Fu. After some time, the unconscious Long Yang's injuries started to heal, and he gradually regained consciousness. At this time, the sleeping Long Yang suddenly heard the moaning of his 7 beloved women. His heart shook and he opened his eyes with great difficulty. Although he could only open his eyes a little and his vision was still blurry, he could clearly see that a man was riding on top of his 7 beloved women. A wave of fury rushed into his heart, and he felt as if his mind had exploded. Long Yang, who had been incredibly weak, once again fell unconscious. Hearing those shameful moans, Lefren and Evelyn gave enchanting smiles and turned to walk away. Seeing the two of them walk over, Krista also followed. Mozak stopped the 3 of them and asked, "What are you doing?" Lefren lightly laughed as she said, "Of course it's to get closer to Master. Also, move aside. With your strength, you won't be able to stop me." Hearing the women's pleas, Mozak understood and moved aside as he coldly harumphed, "If Master blames you, you'll know that you were wrong." Chapter 1232. The first ray of morning sunlight gently shone on Zhao Fu's face. He slowly opened his eyes and looked at the delicate bodies lying around him, as well as the 2 beauties in his embrace. One was the cold and arrogant Princess Han Shuang, and the other was the charming and sexy Lefren. Zhao Fu smiled bitterly. Princess Han Shuang slowly woke up, and her face was red. She looked at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes and could not help but say, "Emperor, Zhao Fu, you're not Zhao Fu. Can we leave with our husband now?" Zhao Fu frowned slightly and said in a dignified voice, "I don't like my woman being touched by others, and I don't like the way you address me." Princess Han Shuang inwardly sighed. She could already predict her future, and she understood that now that her body had been taken by Zhao Fu, she was useless to Long Yang. She could not become his woman, so she could only accept her fate. "Then, husband, can you let Long Yang go? I want you to let him off this time. From now on, I will serve you wholeheartedly," Princess Han Shuang said as she hugged Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu thought for a moment and said, "The most I can do is leave him here. Whether he lives or dies is up to him." Princess Han Shuang understood that this was the best outcome, so she lightly nodded and looked at the unconscious Long Yang in the distance. She had never thought that the 7 of them, who had protected their bodies for him, would be taken by another man in front of him. Moreover, the 7 of them had acted so lewdly last night. Thinking to there, Han Shuang felt a wave of excitement and shyness. Her body trembled and there was a slight reaction. Lefren lazily opened her eyes and lightly kissed Zhao Fu on the cheek as she said, "Master, I'm very happy. I feel like I'm starting to like you." Zhao Fu smiled as he hugged her. Dark element women were truly bold and charming. They did not hide their desires at all. Suddenly, a figure rode on Zhao Fu's body. The Widowmaker Evelyn had a cold smile on her face as she said in a domineering voice, "Master, I didn't enjoy myself enough last night." Afterwards, Zhao Fu left with his people, and he hugged the powerless Evelyn as he looked for the medallion to pass the 9th stage, leaving Long Yang behind. However, 2 hours later, a figure wearing a silver cloak appeared. It was Moluf, who had been ordered by Zhao Fu to kill Long Yang. This was because Long Yang and Zhao Fu already had enmity, and now that Long Yang had stolen his woman, this enmity had been formed. Zhao Fu naturally would not let Long Yang off, so he ordered Moluf to come back and kill Long Yang. This way, no one would know who killed Long Yang. However, when Moluf returned, he didn't see anyone. Long Yang, who had fainted, was nowhere to be seen. Moluf looked everywhere but couldn't find him, so he could only go back and report to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was a little surprised, but he did not take it to heart. Since Long Yang had run away, he could only do so. If he met him again, he would definitely kill him. Boom! A door of light gave off a massive aura as it descended. After a day of searching, Zhao Fu and the others finally found the checkpoint medallion for the 9th stage, and they immediately used it to head to the 8th stage. Because Zhao Fu had spent a lot of time searching for the checkpoint medallion, Zhao Fu's ranking had fallen to 19th place. Within the historical remnant, even though Zhao Fu had subdued 3 people, because they had been summoned, he did not receive any points. Right now, the rankings were just that there was a large gap between the people at the top and those at the bottom. Number 1. Unknown name, points. 440,000. Number 2. Unknown name, points. 320,000. Number 3. By Xingjun, points. 300,000. Number 4. Zhang Mingyue, points. 290,000. What was most shocking was that the person in first place had more than 400,000 points, which was more than 100,000 points away from the person in second place. His power shocked countless people, and even though no one had seen him before, they were all in awe of his power. The second, third, and fourth places were not very far apart, and the 3 of them were doing their best to obtain points. The person with the worst expression was the white-haired young man in second place, and he felt immense pressure from the person in first place. Even though his cultivation had been lowered, he had once been a world realm expert, and he still had all of his comprehensions and high-grade power. However, he had still lost to the person in first place. Just who was the person in first place? Zhao Fu did not care too much about the point. The 8th stage was a boundless desert, and the grains of sand were like grains of gold. There were no signs of life at all, and it was incredibly desolate. The 8th stage was called the Golden Desert. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and led his group to the danger zone of the 8th stage. The danger zone was called the Blood Sand Forbidden Region, and the sand there was a blood-red color as if it had been formed by absorbing countless amounts of blood, making people feel quite terrified. When they arrived, they found that a group of people had long since entered the danger zone. There were many blood stains and sandworm corpses on the ground. There had most likely been an intense battle here, and many people had died. The corpses had most likely been taken away, which was why there were only bloodstains on the ground. Zhao Fu's expression did not change at all as he followed the path that the group had taken and entered the danger zone. Arg! Pained cries sounded out as sandworms flooded out of the ground in front of them. There were over 10,000 of them, and they were 2 meters long and looked like worms. They had many legs, and their mouths were like suction cups, and they had many sharp teeth. These sandworms leapt at those people, and their suction cups could tear off flesh or grind bodies into meat paste. They were incredibly terrifying. Facing the countless sandworms, the group of 300 or so people only had 10 or so people left, and they ran in terror. They no longer had the lofty aspirations they had before entering the danger zone, nor did they have the curiosity from before. Suddenly, they saw a group of people slowly walk in, and they most likely wanted to see what the danger zone was like. They thought to themselves that they were a group of people who did not know their limit. They had suffered a lot here, and now they understood how terrifying this place was. However, they felt quite delighted. There was a large group of sandworms chasing after them, and if they used this group of people as bait, they would be able to survive. They quickly ran in the direction that Zhao Fu was in, but they did not dare to directly meet up with Zhao Fu. After some distance, they stopped and ran in another direction. Their goal was to let the sandworms discover this group of people. The sandworms sensed the powerful auras from Zhao Fu's group and felt that they were the greatest threat, so they all rushed towards them. Seeing this, the 10 or so people who had been running let out sighs of relief, and they couldn't help but be wild with joy. Their lives had finally been saved. However, facing so many sandworms, it was likely that they would definitely die. Chapter 1233. A half-man, half-goat monster walked out and exploded out with a powerful aura before raising its pitchfork and stabbing it into the ground. A massive black and gray barrier instantly spread out, and it was tens of thousands of meters wide. After entering the barrier, the sandworms visibly became weaker. The barrier was weakening them. At that moment, a beautiful and bewitching woman walked out and raised her magic staff, causing countless rays of piercing blue light to spread out. In that instant, the sandworms went berserk and started to attack their own kind. Soon, the ferocious sandworm tide became a pile of corpses, making everyone feel dumbfounded. The group of people who had been running could not believe that this person had destroyed the sandworm tide so easily. They felt that this person was simply too powerful, and they could not compare to him at all. Zhao Fu did not place these sandworms in his eyes at all. Mozax first weakened them, and Lefren cast an illusion. These sandworms had low intelligence and were easily fooled. They continued onwards and killed a few more waves of sandworms before Zhao Fu's group reached the depths of the danger zone. Suddenly, the ground violently trembled as countless traces of blood-red sand flowed out. A heaven-toppling aura spread out from the ground, and the surroundings fell deathly silent as the air became incredibly heavy. A 10,000-meter-long body that could cover the sky rose up from the ground. It was an incredibly massive sandworm, and it roared at the sky. The sound waves seemed to corporeal, and they could cause anyone's ears to hurt. Lin Yen Er and the others had already retreated to the back. They did not have the strength to participate in a battle of this level. Zhao Fu did not fight by himself, as he had many subordinates now. As such, he naturally had to surround and attack this sandworm. Mozax roared as he stabbed his pitchfork into the ground, and a black and gray barrier spread out like lightning. The massive sandworm's strength was greatly weakened. Molef disappeared and reappeared in the air. It slashed out with its dagger, opening up a 100-meter-long gash. Green blood flowed out, causing the massive sandworm to roar in pain. Krista vigorously threw out the blue spear. The blue spear contained immense power as it shot into the sandworm's body, causing it to howl in pain. Krista grabbed at the air, and the spear returned to her hand. The seductive Evelyn appeared beside the sandworm in a flash and punched out with enough power to shatter a mountain, landing on the sandworm's body. The sandworm's body split open and green blood splattered everywhere as the sandworm once again howled. After receiving so many attacks in a row, the sandworm became furious and wanted to attack again. At that moment, Lefren made her move. Lefren raised her magic staff and countless rays of blue light formed a blue flower. Lefren waved her hand and the blue flower flew into the sandworm's body, causing it to freeze for a few seconds. At that moment, Zhao Fu also attacked. The death ray swords around him gave off intense sword light, and Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out. An enormous sword light tore through the air and sent the sandworm flying hundreds of meters before heavily crashing to the ground. The ground violently trembled and sand flowed everywhere, looking as if a disaster was about to descend. The sandworm had only been attacked by Zhao Fu and the others once, and it was already afraid. It knew that it was not a match for Zhao Fu and the others, so it turned its head into the ground and tried to escape. Of course, Zhao Fu would not let it escape, and the golden pupil in his left eye quickly spun. Clang, 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 countless chains containing immense power shot out from the air, tightly binding the sandworm's massive body. The sandworm vigorously twisted, wanting to break free from the chains. Its body gave off a yellow light, and the blood-red sand around it gradually flew into the sky before forming spears made of sand. There were tens of thousands of them, and they shot out in all directions like a rain of spears. Mozax and the others attacked or defended, while Zhao Fu pulled the chains closer and swung his sword, destroying the incoming spears. Even though there were many sand spears, each one was not very powerful, and they were quite scattered, so they were quite easy to deal with. The sandworm desperately unleashed this attack, and it was quite weak. Zhao Fu took this opportunity to pull the chains with all of his strength, pulling the sandworm to the ground. Everyone else quickly attacked. Moluf continuously swung its dagger, opening up wounds. Krista continuously pierced the sandworm's body with her spear, and Evelyn continuously punched the sandworm. Everyone's attacks caused the sandworm to howl in pain, and wounds appeared on its body, making it look quite pitiful. In the distance, the 10 or so people who had been planning to escape could not help but come back out of curiosity. They looked incredibly shocked and gulped. When the sandworm had first appeared, they had thought that it had the power to destroy the world and that no one would be able to stop it. However, it was being completely dominated by that group of people, and it did not seem to be able to defend at all. That group of people seemed to be incredibly powerful. However, they did not dare to stay here because they had led the sandworm towards them. If that group of people discovered that they were still here, they would definitely chase after them. As such, they had to quickly escape. After this ferocious attack, the sandworm was heavily injured. Zhao Fu came before it and asked, "Will you submit to me?" Before, Zhao Fu had said that he wanted to subdue any large creature. However, as the most powerful creature in the danger zone, no matter what creature it was, as long as it could be subdued, Zhao Fu would do his best. After all, it would be of great help to him when he returned to Qin City. The sandworm did not seem to be able to speak, but it seemed like it was willing to submit. However, just as Zhao Fu got close, the sandworm exploded out with immense power, broke some of the chains, and swallowed Zhao Fu in one gulp. This gave everyone a big fright, and they hurriedly attacked Zhao Fu. The instant that Zhao Fu was devoured, he unleashed his Emperor's domain and Saint Realm domain. Seeing the countless teeth coming at him, Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and exploded out with all of his power. An aura flame erupted around his body as the Death Race sword gave off a brilliant sword light. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a massive sword light shot out from the sandworm's body into the sky. The entire sky became incredibly austere as blood rained down, and the massive sandworm's body fell to the ground, dead. Zhao Fu came out from the hole in the ground and looked at the sandworm's corpse, feeling slightly angry. This sandworm had been seeking death and had pretended to surrender, wanting to eat Zhao Fu in one bite. As such, Zhao Fu could only kill it. After killing the sandworm, a system announcement appeared in Zhao Fu's mind. You have obtained 100,000 points for killing the sand giant beast. Chapter 1234. However, even though Zhao Fu had only obtained 100,000 points, this caused Zhao Fu to once again appear on the rankings. With 310,000 points, he surpassed Bai Xingjun and took third place. Now, the rankings were revealed. Number 1. Unknown name, points, 440,000. Number 2. Unknown name, points, 320,000. Number 3. Unknown name, points, 310,000. Number 4. Bai Xingjun, points, 300,000. Number 5. Zhang Mingyue, points, 290,000. Everyone was not as surprised by the rankings, as they knew that that person was incredibly powerful and could compete with the top geniuses. However, what they did not expect was for that person to surpass Bai Xingjun and take third place. This meant that he was even stronger than Bai Xingjun, and they could not help but gasp. They realized that they had underestimated that person. The second-ranked white-haired young man could not help but take notice of Zhao Fu. Even though he felt that his opponent was only the first-ranked person, he could feel a massive pressure from Zhao Fu and a trace of danger. Bai Xingjun, who had fallen to fourth place, looked quite serious. He understood that Zhao Fu definitely had the ability to rival him, or else he would not be able to surpass him. The fifth-ranked Zhang Mingyue felt even more furious. Now that he had fallen to fifth place, this humiliating ranking made him feel like he had lost all face. He was an incredibly prestigious imperial prince, and yet he had lost to so many people in the outer domains. If word of this got out, he would not be able to face anyone, and people would say that he did not have the right to be an imperial prince. After killing the sand beast, Zhao Fu looked around to see if he had any gains. He looked around and felt quite disappointed. There was only sand and he did not have any gains. Following this, Zhao Fu looked at the sand beast's body to see if there was anything useful. He cut it off, and he found that there was an orb within the sand beast's body. This orb was 1 meter wide and extremely round. It was yellow and gave off a faint yellow light. It gave off a very powerful aura of sand, and it was not weak at all. Zhao Fu looked at it and found that this orb was called the Sand Orb, and it had incredibly powerful sand control abilities. Zhao Fu decided to give it a try. He held the Sand Orb and sent his power into it, and he immediately felt that he could control all of the sand around him. Bang bang bang, muffled sounds rang out, and in just an instant, Zhao Fu controlled countless grains of sand to form 10-meter-tall sand soldiers. They gave off a powerful aura, and there were hundreds of them. Zhao Fu withdrew his power in satisfaction, and the sand soldiers collapsed into countless grains of sand. Zhao Fu then put away the sand pearl in satisfaction. Now that the beasts on the 8th floor had been killed, Zhao Fu planned to head to the next floor, which was the 7th floor. Right now, Zhao Fu's group was moving rather slowly. It was possible that some people had already reached the 6th floor. However, the difficulty and danger of each floor increased by several times. The number of casualties also gradually increased. Ling Feishue had said that ordinary people could only stay on the 10th, 9th, and 8th floors. The 7th floor could be life-threatening at any time. If they reached the 6th floor, ordinary people could die at any time. The 5th level could be said to be a terrifying place, and very few people could survive. Back then, Ling Feishue could only reach the 5th level and was unable to advance any further. The 7th level was already quite dangerous, so going to the 7th level did not require a checkpoint medallion but proof of one's strength. Within the boundless yellow sand, there was a stone stele that towered into the clouds. This stone stele was 100,000 meters wide and black in color. There were countless imprints on it. There were fist imprints, saber imprints, sword imprints, spear imprints. If one wanted to head to the 7th floor, one had to have the ability to leave a mark here. Only then would one have the qualifications to enter, or else one would not be able to proceed and could only stay on the 8th floor. There were countless people gathered here, and because there was only this stone stele, everyone could only gather here and try to see if they could leave a mark on it. Even if ordinary people swung their weapons and slashed at the stone stele, they would not be able to leave a mark on it at all. Instead, their weapons would be destroyed, and no one knew what this stone stele was made of. Now, countless people looked at the stone stele in shock. The deepest mark on the stone stele was a spear mark that was 9 inches deep. That was a mark left behind by the most powerful person from 1,000 years ago, and even now, no one had been able to surpass that mark. That person had already become a legend. However, there were 4 people who had left marks that were more than 9 inches deep. Those 4 marks all gave off terrifying auras that made people feel reverence. They were definitely marks that could only be left behind by supreme experts. The first fist mark was 12 inches deep, and the aura it gave off was that of the terrifying first-ranked person. The second was a claw mark that was 11 inches deep, and the aura it gave off was that of the second-ranked person. The third was a sword mark, and the fourth was a saber mark that was 10 inches deep. The people who had left their marks were Bai Haoran and Zhang Mingyue. These 4 marks were worshipped by countless people as miracles. After all, most people could not even leave a mark on a stone stele, so how could these people who had left marks more than 9 inches deep not be worshipped as miracles? Boom! A muffled explosion sounded out as a well-dressed young man stabbed his staff against the stone stele, causing the massive force to turn into a wild gale that blew out. The staff had sunk 6 inches deep into the stone stele. Everyone could not help but cry out, and based on the aura he gave off, someone cried out, "He's the 27th ranked Li Yi. So powerful, but he's too young." Li Yi put away his staff, and the stone stele gave off a black light. A black door of light appeared, and Li Yi coldly led some people in. The others did not leave any marks, nor did they try. They entered as Li Yi's followers, and each of them could bring 50 followers in. There was also the black door of light that had appeared. Only those who Li Yi let in could enter, they could not force their way in. Bang! An explosion sounded out as a green-clothed young man holding a spear gave off a ferocious aura as he stabbed it towards the stone stele. The spear pierced 8 inches into the stone stele, causing countless people to cry out in shock. Based on that young man's aura, someone found his name on the rankings and cried out, "He's the 7th-ranked person. Anyone who can enter the top 10 is indeed powerful." The young man gave a prideful smile and returned to the crowd. His faction's people surrounded him and continuously praised him. Some others could not help but go over as well. After all, that young man was the 7th-ranked person, and such a genius was worth getting to know and befriending. Chapter 1235. Within the crowd, there were many people that Zhao Fu was familiar with, such as Bai Haoran, Yin Ruoshi, Leng Shang, Shi Shuj, Yu Quan, and a few others. Bai Haoran had been with his big brother and the Dao cultivation sect's people to explore the historical remnant, but the situation had become quite grim. He was ranked 4th, so Bai Xingjun could only hand those people over to Bai Haoran and leave by himself. The first to go up was the Green Province Domain's Ming Jian. He gripped his sharp sword and vigorously slashed out. A sword light flashed out, leaving behind a 6-inch sword gash. Even though this caused many shocked cries, Ming Jian shook his head in disappointment, feeling quite dissatisfied with his own power. With his current power, he would never be able to surpass that person. Leng Shang, who was filled with killing intent, walked up and gathered countless traces of blood-red qi into his sword, causing it to give off a dense killing intent that could cause people's hairs to stand on end. Xing! Leng Shang vigorously stabbed out with his sword, causing the blood-red sword to pierce into the stone stele, leaving behind a 7-inch sword gash. Seeing this, Leng Shang felt quite dissatisfied as he walked down. Following this, Bai Haoran also walked up. His fist gave off a 5-colored light and gave off shocking power as it slammed against the stone stele. An explosion sounded out, and he also left behind an 8-inch sword gash. Finally, Shi Shuj also walked up. Countless traces of black light formed a sword, and it gave off a powerful scholarly aura. Xing! A sword hum sounded out as the seemingly weak sword left behind a 9-inch sword gash on the stone stele. Countless people were sent into an uproar. Just a bit more and it would be 9 inches. This woman would be able to compare to that expert from 1,000 years ago. Shi Shuj sighed. If it was before, she would have been quite satisfied with her current power, as she could compare to that expert from 1,000 years ago. However, the 4 marks on the stone stele gave off a light that was as bright as the sun. In front of those 4 marks, the mark she had left behind seemed too dim and could not be seen at all, which dealt a heavy blow to her. Now, no one was in a hurry to leave. They wanted to see how the geniuses performed and how deep of a mark they could leave on the stone stele. These marks were not only proof of power but also proof of their future potential. Boom! Boom! Massive explosions sounded out as the geniuses left marks on the stone steel, causing cries of surprise. The marks on the stone steel were like resplendent stars in the night sky, representing geniuses. Whether it was now or in the future, they would make countless people sigh in amazement, and the marks they had left behind would be remembered. Bang! Another massive explosion sounded out as a man dressed in beast skins kicked the stone steel. The surrounding space seemed to explode, and a 9-inch leg print was left on the steel. This caused a huge commotion. There was actually someone who had reached 9 inches. Who was this person who had suddenly appeared? How could he have such a powerful strength? This person would definitely be able to compare with that peerless expert from 1,000 years ago. Boom! While everyone was still in shock, a massive emperor's aura descended like the might of the heavens and earth. Countless people's bodies sank, feeling as if they had fallen into icy water, and started to tremble. Sensing this familiar aura, Bai Haoran, Shi Shuj, Leng Shang, Bing Qixue, countless people's expressions changed as they looked up into the sky. A group of people appeared in the sky, led by a man wearing a cloak. The scene fell into a deathly silence. Others might not recognize this cloaked figure, but the people from the ancient STEM domain were incredibly familiar with him. The Killing Sword Master, the person with 3 Emperor stars, has really come. Seeing him arrive, countless people did not know if they were excited or afraid, and their bodies violently trembled. Bai Haoran's expression became quite serious. The things that this mysterious emperor had done in the ancient STEM domain were simply too terrifying, and he was now the target of the entire domain. This was because this mysterious emperor's potential was so terrifying that the entire domain was worried that he would take revenge. In the entire history of the ancient STEM domain, he was the only one who had done this. The ancient STEM banquet was a scar that the ancient STEM domain could not erase. In the future, it could lead to countless things, and it was something that the Dao cultivation sect regretted the most. Bai Haoran could only hope that his big brother could suppress this person, or else the consequences would be unimaginable. It was possible that the entire ancient STEM domain would be doomed. Yin Ruoshi also looked quite nervous. After seeing Zhao Fu's power, Zhao Fu was the person she feared the most. Even her master had warned her not to have anything to do with this person. After all, if she faced off against Zhao Fu, the only outcome for her would be death. Now that he had truly appeared in the cosmos historical remnant, she had to be careful and avoid meeting him as much as possible in order to avoid irreversible consequences. Bing Qixue sighed. After that matter, Bing Qixue's relationship with Zhao Fu had been severed. He did not know what Zhao Fu's attitude towards him or towards the Ice Origin Kingdom was like. Shi Shuj looked incredibly excited. She had always felt that she would be able to meet Zhao Fu again, and now she had finally met him. She had desperately cultivated for this day. She had to defeat Zhao Fu and take care of Zhao Fu's side. This was her greatest wish. However, the aura that Zhao Fu gave off was even more terrifying than before, and she could not help but worry if she would be a match for Zhao Fu. Yu Quan viciously looked at Zhao Fu. He still remembered the enmity from that day, and he had been waiting to take revenge to take Zhao Fu's life to appease his anger. Of course, he understood that he was not a match for Zhao Fu, so he could only viciously look at Zhao Fu. He thought about how to take revenge, but he would not actually do anything. Boom! Another explosion sounded out as a black flame appeared around the cloaked figure in the sky. A wild wind blew, and the Emperor's aura became even more intense, and some people could not help but kneel in front of the aura. Zhao Fu looked at the cloaked figure in the sky, and he looked at the cloaked figure in the sky. Shing! The cloaked figure slashed out with his sword, and a black sword arc flashed out as a 12-inch long sword gash appeared. Everyone could not help but gasp. A 9-inch long sword gash was already enough to shock them, and a 12-inch long sword gash was something that only the top-ranked genius could do. Now, this person had done it, causing massive waves to rise in their hearts. Zhao Fu ignored everyone's gazes and opened the black door of light before flying in and disappearing. "He's the third-ranked person," after he left, someone yelled. Everyone quickly came to their senses. No wonder he was so terrifying. He was one of the top 5 geniuses. Everyone felt much better, as that kind of person was not someone they could compare to. Chapter 1236. Now, everyone's expressions were quite dim. Not only had they been dealt a heavy blow by Zhao Fu, but they had also been dealt a heavy blow by the marks left behind by the other 4 people. These were true geniuses, and they were nothing at all. Right now, they felt that there was no point in messing around here, and they felt that they would be mocked by others. As such, they did not stay here and opened the black doors of light and entered the 7th level. The 7th level was a boundless green rock region, which meant that there were green rocks everywhere. There was very little vegetation, and at most, there were some weeds. They were quite scattered and looked quite desolate. The 7th level was called the Green Rock region, and the gravity here was many times that of normal places. Walking on it made one feel as if there was some sort of power weighing down on one's body. The cosmos beasts here were all at stage 7 or 8, and if there were only a few of them, Zhao Fu would not be afraid. However, if they were in groups, Zhao Fu could only avoid them. After all, a group of stage 7 or 8 cosmos beasts was not easy to deal with. "Your Majesty, where are we going?" Lefren lazily leaned against Zhao Fu's body as she spoke enticingly into Zhao Fu's ear. Zhao Fu thought about it and said, "We'll go straight to the danger zone and see if there are any historical remnants there. The 7th level is quite dangerous, but there will be more historical remnant." Lefren hugged Zhao Fu and lightly blew into Zhao Fu's ear, saying in a soft and lazy voice, "How about we do it after conquering the danger zone?" Evelyn, who was hugging Zhao Fu, lightly harumphed and said, "I really want it now. Let's have some fun before going to the danger zone, all right?" Zhao Fu bitterly smiled. Krista's gloomy face became slightly red. Before, she did not have much desire in this area, and seeing that 2 people like her wanted to be intimate with Zhao Fu, she had joined in. However, after trying it once, she had become infatuated. Princess Han Shuang and the others stood to the side with red faces, and Lin Yen felt quite annoyed. Back when she and Zhao Fu had entered the Cosmos Historical Remnant, she had been leaning on Zhao Fu's shoulder the entire time, and now, those 2 demon women had taken her away. However, she wasn't that strong, so she wouldn't be of much help to Zhao Fu in battle, so she understood that she wouldn't be able to beat the 2 demonesses. Luckily, Zhao Fu had finally done it with her once. In the future, she wouldn't have to worry about whether or not Zhao Fu would touch her. Thinking about how Zhao Fu had violated her, Lin Yen felt her entire body go limp, and her eyes glowed. Molef and Mozax consciously stayed at the edge of the group and didn't participate. They also pretended not to hear anything. A few hours later, Zhao Fu and his group arrived at the 7th level's danger zone. Because of Ling Feishua's information, Zhao Fu felt much more relaxed. He knew where the danger zone was and did not have to look for it himself. The 7th level's danger zone was a stone forest, and there were countless stone pillars that were hundreds or thousands of meters tall. If one accidentally entered, it was possible that they would become lost. Roar, roar, roar. Just as everyone stepped in, many stone beasts appeared. These stone beasts seemed to be made of stone and were 10 or so meters long. There were all kinds of creatures, such as tigers, leopards, bulls, boars. All of the stone beasts' auras were very powerful, and this place was much more dangerous than the 8th level's danger zone. Facing the thousands of stone beasts, Zhao Fu naturally did not have to act. Just like before, Mozax spread out his nothingness domain, and Zhao Fu found that Mozax was incredibly useful. He could weaken all power, and back then, Zhao Fu had looked down on him. Fortunately, he had not killed him, or else it would not have been so easy to take down this danger zone. Moluf, Lefren, and the others turned into rays of light and rushed out, killing these stone beasts. Even though these stone beasts were powerful, Moluf and the others were able to easily kill them. Moluf slashed out with his dagger, slicing open a stone beast's head. Zhao Fu found that there seemed to be crystals inside, which were most likely the stone beast's cores. If he could shatter the cores, the stone beasts would turn into piles of rubble. Zhao Fu told Mozax about this, and Mozax rushed up with his pitchfork and stabbed through the stone beasts' heads, easily killing them. Lefren raised her magic staff, which gave off a blue light as she continued to use illusions to cause the stone beasts to attack each other. Krista continuously stabbed out with her spear, taking away stone beasts' lives, while Evelyn ferociously punched and kicked, destroying the stone beasts' heads. Lin Yen Er, the shabby princess, and the others also went up to help, unleashing attack. They did not want to appear useless, as that would make Zhao Fu look down on them. Seeing everyone attack the stone beasts, Zhao Fu stood there by himself, looking quite awkward. As such, he could not help but act. He held the death race sword and rushed up, sending out powerful sword lights that destroyed the stone beasts one by one. Soon, the thousands of stone beasts had died, leaving behind a pile of rubble. In actuality, there were almost no gains from the danger zone. For example, killing these stone beasts would not give anything, and even facing the beasts in the danger zone, it would be best to subdue them. Only then would there be any gains, or else they would not be able to obtain anything. This was why no one was willing to come to the danger zone. After all, it was so dangerous without any gains, so it was better to find some historical remnant. Everyone continued onwards. After killing a few more waves of stone beasts, Zhao Fu and the others walked for a while and were surprised to find that they had gotten lost within the stone forest. After walking for a while, they found that they had returned to where they had started. This caused Zhao Fu to become serious, and he started to leave marks on the stone pillars. It was impossible to fly here, so he could only leave marks to find a path. After a day or so, Zhao Fu and the others finally reached the depths of the stone forest. There was a very large open area here, and the ground was covered with green rocks. There was not a single blade of grass growing here, and the wind blew through the stone forest, giving off terrifying sounds. The surroundings were deathly silent. Zhao Fu looked around before walking in. And green magic formation was instantly activated, and a 5-meter-tall stone person appeared at the center of the open area. This stone person was not made of random rocks, and it looked like a stone statue. What's more, it was a very well-built and beautiful stone person. The stone person looked like a man, and his body was covered with elegant muscles. His upper body was bare, and he only wore a pair of pants. He looked quite handsome. After appearing, the stone person ferociously looked at Zhao Fu and stamped down, causing the ground to crack. The stone person quickly rushed towards Zhao Fu, punching out with a ferocious fist wind towards Zhao Fu, seeming to be able to pierce through an iron wall. Before Zhao Fu could act, Evelyn coldly harumphed and rushed forwards, punching out with immense power. Bang! Chapter 1237. After this attack, the stone golem did not budge, and Evelyn retreated 5 or 6 steps before stopping. As a beast from the 7th level's danger zone, the stone golem was evidently more powerful than Evelyn. After knocking Evelyn back with a single punch, the stone golem looked quite condescending. Evelyn did not want to accept this, and she once again rushed up to fight with the stone golem. Zhao Fu called out to her. He had not brought so many people here to fight it alone. Boom! Mozax exploded out with a powerful aura and stabbed his pitchfork into the ground. A black and gray barrier containing immense power instantly covered the ground. Shing! Moluf disappeared and appeared behind the stone golem in the next second, slashing its dagger towards the stone golem's back. The stone golem's body seemed to be made of steel, and as the dagger slashed against it, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. However, it was only able to leave a shallow wound. The stone golem did not seem to feel pain and did not care about the wound at all. It turned around and attacked Moluf, but Moluf immediately disappeared into nothingness, causing the stone golem's attack to miss. At that moment the others also attacked, and Lin Yen Er and the others tactfully retreated to the side. Lefren raised her magic staff, and an intense blue light spread out, causing the stone golem to stare blankly for a few seconds. Zhao Fu raised his death ray sword, which gave off an intense sword light. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a massive gray crescent sword light slashed out, sending the stone golem flying. Boom! Krista raised her spear and blue flames appeared around her. Krista vigorously threw her spear, and it gave off destructive power as it shot towards the stone golem in the air. The stone golem was given a big fright and blocked with its hands, causing a formless energy barrier to spread out. Bang! The blue spear slammed into the energy barrier with terrifying power, resulting in a massive explosion. The barrier shattered, and the blue spear hit the stone golem's arms. However, because most of the power was blocked by the energy barrier, the blue spear was not able to harm the stone golem. Boom! However, Evelyn appeared in the air and twisted her body as she kicked the stone golem back to the ground. The stone golem's 5-meter-tall body heavily smashed into the ground, causing the ground to crack and countless rocks to fly everywhere. Roar! The stone person crawled up from the ground and furiously roared as a powerful aura burst forth from its body, bringing with it wild gales. The stone person furiously looked at Zhao Fu and the others, raised its fists, and vigorously punched the ground. Boom! A formless energy wave spread out, instantly shattering the rocks around it. The energy wave brought with it an astonishing power as it flew towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and a black aura flame erupted around his body. Massive amounts of power entered his sword, causing it to give off an intense sword hum. Following this, Zhao Fu stabbed his sword into the ground, causing a terrifying shockwave to ripple out, causing the ground to crack. Bang! The two massive shockwaves collided with each other, causing a massive explosion. A ferocious shockwave spread out, and countless rocks were sent flying. After everything calmed down, a 3-meter-wide trench appeared on the ground, which was where the two forces had collided. Xiao xiao xiao! At that moment, countless shattered rocks floated up under a massive force and shot out with great force. Zhao Fu's expression fell, and he had his people scatter, dodging most of the rocks. A small portion was blocked by the others, but they were still slightly injured. When the rocks hit their bodies, they felt quite painful, and there were a few bruises on their bodies. Bang! The stone person raised a large hand and slammed it against the ground, causing a formless energy to spread out. Rhombus-shaped stone pillars gave off ferocious power as they stabbed out from the ground, and Zhao Fu and the others immediately dodged. Zhao Fu felt a trace of anger in his heart. He raised the death ray sword and sent all of his power into it, causing it to give off boundless sword light. Countless traces of deathly chi flooded out, and a beautiful figure appeared beside Zhao Fu. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out, and the beautiful figure gave off boundless deathly aura as it vigorously slammed against the stone person, seeming to be able to devour all life. The stone person's expression was quite serious as it clenched its fist and slammed it against the ground. Stone walls that were 10 or so meters tall and 30 centimeters thick suddenly rose up from the ground, and there were 30 or so of them blocking in front of the stone person. Bang! 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 The massive deathly aura ferociously destroyed the walls, resulting in massive sounds. In the end, the stone person was able to block Zhao Fu's full-strength attack. However, Zhao Fu was not alone. Boom! Krista threw out her spear, and a blue ray of light containing immense power flew towards the stone person. The air seemed to explode. Bang! The stone person had just blocked Zhao Fu's attack with all of its strength, and facing this sudden attack, it could only unleash a defensive barrier. The blue ray of light slammed into the barrier, causing it to shatter, and the stone person was sent flying. The stone person flew backwards and crashed into a stone wall, causing it to crack. There was now a 3-centimeter deep hole in the stone person's chest. This stone person was most likely made of stone and did not have any blood or organs. Otherwise, with such a hole in its body, blood would definitely flow out. However, from the looks of it, it seemed that it was quite heavily injured. Shing! Molef appeared in the air, and its dagger gave off a cold light as it slashed towards the stone person. Before the stone person could react, a gash appeared on its left shoulder. The stone person furiously rushed out of the stone wall, but at that moment, a blue flower floated above its head, and the deep blue light pulled it into an illusion. Boom! Evelyn appeared behind the stone person, and her fist gave off countless traces of black aura as a massive wave of darkness energy flowed out. Evelyn punched the stone person's waist, and a muffled explosion sounded out as countless small cracks appeared on the stone person's waist. Even though the stone person did not feel any pain, this attack had dealt a heavy blow to it, causing its aura to quickly become weaker. However, the stone person would not admit defeat like this. It gathered its strength and backhanded, bringing with it a gust of wind as it attacked towards Evelyn. Shing! Before the stone person could attack Evelyn, Molef once again appeared in the air and slashed down with its dagger, cutting open another gash on the stone person's body. The stone person furiously turned and prepared to attack Molef again. Bang! Another muffled explosion sounded out as Mozax gripped his pitchfork with both hands and stabbed it into the stone person's body. At the same time, his nothingness domain's power flowed into it, causing the stone person's power to once again weaken. The stone person roared and continued to attack Mozax. Shing, 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 the sound of countless chains rang out as thousands of chains shot out from the air and bound up the stone person. The stone person exploded out with immense power and furiously roared as it continuously struggled, but it was unable to break free from the chains. Chapter 1238. Only then did the golem become obedient. It wanted to struggle, but it did not have the strength to do so. It lay on the ground, but it still furiously glared at the crowd. It was quite unconvinced that Zhao Fu had attacked it with so many people. Zhao Fu looked at the golem and gave a trace of a smile. Now, do you choose to submit or die? The golem angrily yelled at Zhao Fu, "Kill me! I will not surrender. If you don't kill me, I'll smash you into minced meat next time." Zhao Fu frowned as he looked at the stone man. That's killing? Or should I stay? After thinking about it for a moment, he felt that it wasn't worth it to kill it. He had no choice but to kill the sandworm earlier. If there was a way, Zhao Fu wanted to subdue it. He took out the sand pearl. This item could be said to be very effective against ordinary earth-type objects, such as stones. The sand pearl could turn them into sand. Zhao Fu took out the sand pearl because he wanted to torture the stone man. The stone man's body wouldn't feel pain, but it would still feel pain in its soul. The sand pearl gave off a faint yellow light that gradually seeped into the stone person's body. The stone person's expression became one of terror before it howled in pain, feeling as if its soul was being disintegrated. Hearing its cries of pain, the people around it looked quite calm, as none of them were kind people. Lefren even looked quite pleased when she heard its cries of pain, as if she enjoyed hearing people cry out in pain. 7 or 8 hours later, the stone man finally could not take it anymore. With a weak aura, it surrendered to Zhao Fu, willing to serve Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gave a satisfied smile and accepted the stone man's surrender. At the same time, he received a system announcement. Notification: Congratulations on subduing Stoneland's person, Stoneshan. You've earned 100,000 points. There were only 100,000 points, and Zhao Fu felt quite confused. This stone mountain was definitely much more powerful than the sandworms, so it was definitely worth more than 10 points. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu decided that it was because they had teamed up. If it was just one person, the reward would have been higher. These 100,000 points caused some changes in the rankings, and Zhao Fu's ranking rose by 1 place. Number 1, name unknown, points gained, 510,000. Second place, unknown name, 410,000 points. Third place, unknown name, points gained, 400,000. Fourth place, by Xingjun, 380,000 points. Fifth place, Zhang Mingyue, 390,000 points. That person was ranked second. Everyone looked at the ranking in surprise. However, because of the scene of Zhao Fu leaving a 12-inch sword mark on the stone tablet, everyone was not very surprised. In their hearts, Zhao Fu was someone who could be compared to the person in first place. The white-haired youth saw that he had been surpassed, and his face paled. Another uncertain factor had appeared, and his plan might become a bit more difficult. Back then, he had thought that Zhao Fu was in great danger, but now, he had been surpassed by Zhao Fu. Seeing that he had fallen to third place, the white-haired youth could not help but feel angry. By Xingjun's side, he had thought that he would be able to return to third place and suppress Zhao Fu. However, it seemed that Zhao Fu had improved too quickly, and he did not have the ability to do so. Zhang Mingyue looked furious and exploded out with power. Zhao Fu reaching second place meant that no matter what, he would be trampled on by the other 3 people. By Haoran, Bing Qixue, Leng Shang, Shi Shuj, and the countless people who knew Zhao Fu could only sigh in amazement and helplessness. They did not know what to say. The ordinary-looking youth in first place leisurely walked around the 5th level, and countless cosmos beasts did not dare to come close in fear. He did not care about everyone on the ranking because he knew that they would all be inferior to him. Even though he was not an arrogant person, how could anyone surpass him in such a barren place? Back at the valley, after Zhao Fu subdued Shirshan, he gave him some earth attribute treasures to help him quickly recover. Following this, Shirshan gave Zhao Fu an item. It was a black stone that was as big as a marble and gave off a faint black light. It was extremely heavy and required Zhao Fu to use his full strength to pick it up. Zhao Fu could not help but feel quite surprised. Just what is this thing? Shirshan's injuries had healed quite a bit, and hearing Zhao Fu's words, he immediately explained in fear. This is a type of 10,000 gravity origin stone, a treasure with extremely powerful gravity. It's the reward of the forbidden area. Zhao Fu understood and nodded, but he did not know how to use it. Within Zhao Fu's body, the golden dragon suddenly said, "This 10,000 gravity origin stone can bring large amounts of land into the sky, and it can be used to build a sky city. Zhao Fu, if you want a sky city, you can consider using this thing on a sky city." Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt quite interested. He thought about a massive city in the sky and felt that it would be quite majestic. If it could be used for military purposes, it would be quite useful, as it would be a floating castle. In the future, it would be of great help to Qin in aerial battles. Zhao Fu immediately decided to build a sky city, and he asked the golden dragon in detail what materials he needed. After conquering the 7th level's danger zone, Zhao Fu planned to look for ruins. The 7th level would most likely not be the same as the 10th level, and there would most likely be many ruins that had not been discovered. At the same time, Zhao Fu planned to obtain a checkpoint medallion for the 7th level. The checkpoint medallion for the 7th level was quite easy to obtain and could be obtained by killing a type of rock spirit. To ordinary people, rock spirits were terrifyingly powerful. A few hours later, Zhao Fu and his group flew into the sky, and a person blocked Zhao Fu and his group. He was a young man who looked quite ordinary and gave off an ordinary aura. There was nothing special about him. Zhao Fu stopped in the air, and looked at the young man in confusion as he asked, "What is it?" The young man cupped his hands and said with a resolute gaze, "My name is Chernjingha, and I want to follow Sir to become a peerless expert." Zhao Fu lightly laughed. He had never thought that someone would suddenly say that they wanted to follow him. Zhao Fu did not know that his sword strike on the stone steel had caused countless people to worship him. Lefren, who was leaning against Zhao Fu, charmingly smiled as she said, "Do you think that just anyone can follow our master? Do you know that what you just did was seeking death? If you don't give me a satisfactory explanation, I'll kill you on behalf of our master." Chernjingha felt quite nervous. He knew that this woman was not lying, and he could sense how dangerous she was. However, Chernjingha was prepared. Chernjingha was not weak and his talent was not bad either. However, if he wanted to become a peerless expert, he would not be able to do so with his strength. He definitely wanted to fulfill his parents' wishes, so he had to follow an extremely terrifying person, and Zhao Fu was that person. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.